Phoenix Nights. Chapter 1903. The great desolate demonic calamity was quelled by Gu Fei. The demon fetus could not escape and was killed by Gu Fei in space. The demon fetus was unlucky. It was born when Gu Fei came to the great desolate star. Otherwise, it might have succeeded, using the lives of the entire planet as the price to go against the heavens. This was too much. Perhaps the demon had already planned this countless years ago. After this battle, the spiritual energy of the great desolate star decreased. When Gu Fei and the demon fetus fought, many regions were destroyed. After quelling the demonic calamity, Gu Fei returned to Stone City. "Immortal Master, are you leaving?" asked the Meng family's old chief. Gu Fei did not hide it. He was just a passerby. He would have to leave in the end. The soaring dragon ancestral star was where he should stay. On the path to becoming a saint, he had to occupy a place. However, he was already lost in the starry sky, so finding his way back wasn't an easy task. He could only continue on his way. He wanted to see where the end of the ancient Kunlun Road was. He was looking forward to the end of the ancient Kunlun Road. Perhaps Kunlun and the soaring dragon ancestral star were connected. "Immortal Master, bring us on our way." The Meng family's chief did not want to give up this chance to leave the great desolate star. One had to know that the human race's lives here were too bitter. They could only live a primitive life of hunting. They were constantly worried that the beasts in the mountains would come out. If not for Gu Fei, they would still be bullied by the water qilin. Every year, they would have to send a pair of young boys and girls to the beast as food. They had had enough of such days. "I'll bring you with me." Gu Fei looked at the respectful old man in front of him, and couldn't help but frown. He had already imparted a few martial arts techniques to this old man. He didn't want to bring these people along with him. But now, he had an idea. Didn't he want to build a faction? Perhaps these thousands of humans could be of use. The great ancient star was filled with spiritual energy. After living here for a long time, the spiritual energy here could change one's physique. Those who could survive on the great ancient star all had strong physiques. Although these people had only cultivated the simplest body technique, they could still kill beasts with their bare hands. Especially the young man named Meng Long. He was only 16 years old, but he could easily kill a tiger with a kick. Compared to the humans on Earth, he was much stronger. The physiques of these people were very suitable for the cultivation of martial arts. If he accepted these people, under his guidance, he might really be able to teach a few powerful martial arts experts. Boom! At this moment, Gu Fei suddenly felt a powerful energy fluctuation erupt from his inner world and his dantian. Roar! In a valley within Gu Fei's inner world, a figure was sitting cross-legged on a boulder. That person's entire body flickered with golden light as rays of golden rainbows shot out from his body, illuminating the world. An extremely powerful wave of metal elemental energy rippled out from the golden body. The entire valley was shaking, and all living creatures in the surrounding area were trembling. "Haha! I finally broke through." Gu Zhong laughed to the sky. His voice shook the sky, and the clouds in the sky were dispersed by the rolling sound waves. After cultivating in seclusion for dozens of years, he finally broke through. This made Gu Zhong extremely excited. He had successfully broken through to the second heaven of Almighty. Metal elemental energy circled around his body, making him look like a god of war made of gold. "Congratulations, Brother Gu." At this moment, a figure walked in from outside the valley. It was a woman. This woman was Zhongli Meng, who had been taken into Gu Fei's inner world with Gu Zhong and old Jiao in the sage world. Gu Zhong stood up from the boulder. The powerful aura on his body began to recede like the tide. Soon, even the golden light on his body was completely retracted. Fairy Zhongli Meng. Gu Zhong could not help but be stunned when he saw this person. Behind Zhongli Meng were three extremely powerful undead creatures. They were the three undying emperors that Gu Fei had subdued. "Greetings, young master." The three undying emperors behind Zhongli Meng bowed to Gu Zhong. Gu Zhong was Gu Fei's disciple and had an extremely powerful cultivation. They did not dare to slight him. Gu Zhong only nodded at the three undying emperors before his gaze landed on Zhong Limeng. He realized that Zhong Limeng's cultivation had increased by quite a bit over the past few decades, and he was not far from the peak of the Almighty Realm. You can see it now. Cultivating in this place allows my cultivation to rise very quickly. I can't even imagine it. In just a few decades, I'm only half a step away from becoming a pinnacle almighty being. Zhong Limeng said. It had to be said that Zhong Limeng's physique was indeed not bad. In the past, she had to take care of the drunken immortal abode and had too many things to worry about. It was difficult for her to calm down and cultivate. At this time, she took the opportunity to calm her heart and cultivate for a few decades. Her cultivation actually kept increasing, and she almost stepped into the realm of peak almighties. Gu Zhong was very envious of Zhong Limeng's continuous increase in cultivation. Zhong Limeng had cultivated for dozens of years and his cultivation had increased by several small realms. On the other hand, Gu Zhong had only increased by one small realm. Even his junior brother's cultivation speed was much faster than his. However, even if you have broken through to the peak almighty realm, you are still no match for me. Gu Zhong was very confident. Although he had only advanced by a small realm, his fighting strength was strong enough to compete with the peak almighty. Your lineage is really monstrous. It was impossible for Zhong Limeng not to be envious. Who didn't want to be invincible in the same realm? However, how many people were there in the same realm? However, there was such a person in front of her. She looked at Gu Zhong with a different gaze. So you have broken through. At this moment, a voice came from the sky. Master. Gu Zhong was surprised and overjoyed when he heard the voice. He had just broken through and wanted to go out and meet those people. He did not know that Gu Fei was no longer in the Sage Realm, nor was he in the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star's star field. A figure descended from the sky and landed in the valley. Gu Fei. Zhong Limeng could not help but exclaim when she saw the person. Greetings, Master. The three immortal sovereigns hurriedly knelt down when they saw Gu Fei. Gu Fei nodded and waved his hand to dismiss the three immortal sovereigns. He did not like the aura of death around the three immortal sovereigns. Your junior brother is still in seclusion. Gu Fei looked at Gu Zhong and asked. Yes, junior brother has been in seclusion for a long time. Do you want me to call him out? Gu Zhong said. No need. Chapter 1904. Gu Fei only had two disciples. One was Gu Zhong, and the other was Old Flood Dragon. Although Old Flood Dragon had already transformed into a dragon, his strength was the weakest among Gu Fei's two disciples. Old Flood Dragon had been in seclusion for decades and had yet to come out. Even Gu Zhong had broken through, but he was still cultivating in the same place. Gu Fei knew that nothing had happened during Old Flood Dragon's seclusion. Old Flood Dragon's seclusion was at the bottom of a large lake. At the bottom of the lake, there was an outlet for Earth Vein's spiritual chi. Old Flood Dragon was sitting cross-legged at the outlet of Earth Vein's spiritual chi, absorbing heaven and earth's spiritual chi as he cultivated. Gu Fei sensed it slightly and knew that his second disciple had reached a critical juncture. If Old Jiao could pass this stage, his cultivation would definitely catch up to Gu Zhong. Old Flood Dragon's potential was not bad. Otherwise, Gu Fei wouldn't have accepted him as a disciple. Gu Fei planned to establish his own force. There were many benefits to having his own force, as he didn't need to deal with many things himself. Moreover, after having his own force, it would be much easier to find the lost disciples of the Taishan sect. There was strength in numbers, and it would be better than looking for them himself. His strength alone was very limited. Master, you've finally made up your mind. After Gu Fei told Gu Zhong his plan, Gu Zhong couldn't help but be extremely excited. Establishing a powerful force had always been Gu Zhong's goal. Otherwise, Gu Zhong wouldn't have accepted those 9 disciples. Brother Gu, do you want to establish a sect like the ancient people did? Zhong Limeng stood to the side. After hearing Gu Fei's words, her expression changed several times. Establishing a sect on the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star wasn't an easy task. It should be known that Gu Fei had offended a lot of people, and there was no lack of ancient powers among them. If Gu Fei was alone, it would be easy. If others wanted to cause trouble for him, they would need to be able to find him first. However, it was impossible for a sect to not have a sect. With the mountain gate, there would be a fixed location. At this time, it would be much easier for Gu Fei's enemies to seek revenge on Gu Fei. Unless Gu Fei was strong enough, no one would dare to provoke him. Founding a sect? Gu Fei shook his head and said, I just want to establish a force that belongs to me. This? Zhong Li Meng was speechless. If this wasn't establishing a sect, what was it? By the way, Gu Zhong, your master has something to tell you. Gu Fei suddenly looked at Gu Zhong and said, Master, what is it? Gu Zhong asked. Yes, it's like this, Gu Fei said with some embarrassment. He told Gu Zhong about how he was lost in the boundless starry sky. Gu Zhong couldn't help being startled. He had been lost in the starry sky. This? Gu Zhong was stunned. He didn't know what to say at that moment. How could this be? Zhong Li Meng's expression changed. She was born in the Zhongli clan of the Southern Desolation. Even though the Zhongli clan couldn't compare to the ancient Desolation factions, it was still a powerful faction in the Southern Desolation. She knew the consequences of being lost in the starry sky. The boundless starry sky was boundless. Some people said that it was only a corner of the Great Desolation world when the Great Desolation world was destroyed. However, no one knew what had happened. Being lost in the starry sky was a terrifying thing. If one was unlucky, they would never be able to find their way back. However, there were also some lucky people who accidentally obtained a map of the starry sky and found their way back. Even though Zhong Li Meng was shocked, she suddenly thought of something. She quickly took out her storage pouch and searched for something. Found it. Soon after, Zhong Li Meng's face was filled with joy. Following this, she took out a black piece of metal from her storage bag. The piece of metal was square and covered in a layer of rust. Fairy Li Meng, what is this? Gu Zhong was surprised when he saw Zhong Li Meng taking out something like this. No one would take a second look at it even if it was thrown on the ground. This is a treasure. Zhong Li Meng carefully held the metal piece in her hands. It was only a foot wide and a foot long. Apart from some rust, there was nothing else on it. Huh! Gu Fei's expression changed. When he scanned the metal piece in Zhong Li Meng's hand with his divine sense, he sensed a faint ripple. It really is a treasure, Gu Fei said. Could it be fake? Zhong Li Meng glared at Gu Fei and said, Master, this thing is really a treasure. Gu Zhong took a few more glances at the metal piece in Zhong Li Meng's hand after hearing Gu Fei's words. However, he couldn't see anything strange with his cultivation base. It would be strange if even he couldn't see anything strange about it. This is an ancient object that I obtained from a strange person. According to that strange person, this object was brought out from an ancient ruin. Zhong Li Meng explained the origin of the metal piece. It was brought out from an ancient ruin. Gu Fei and Gu Zhong were shocked. Ancient ruins were rare in this world. As long as it wasn't strengthened by an extreme Tao supremacy, it wouldn't be able to withstand the corrosion of time. Only the power of an extreme Tao supremacy could allow an object to be passed down without rotting. Gu Fei waved his hand and the metal piece in Zhong Li Meng's hand flew into Gu Fei's hand. The moment the metal piece entered his hand, Gu Fei felt his hand sink. The metal piece wasn't light. It was just a small piece, but it seemed to weigh over 5,000 kilograms. This isn't an ordinary metal. Gu Fei exerted force in his hand. He wanted to break the metal piece in half, but it didn't budge at all. He couldn't even damage it with the strength of his hands. Humph! Gu Fei exerted force again. This time, the strength of his hands had more than doubled. Crack! A faint sound came from the metal piece. Small cracks appeared on the rusty metal piece. Then, a layer of the metal piece actually broke apart. There's a universe inside. At this moment, Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng looked nervously at the black metal piece in Gu Fei's hand. After the layer of the black metal piece broke apart, the thing that was revealed was still a black metal piece. However, it wasn't empty anymore. There was a simple pattern carved on it. Star Chart. Chapter 1905. The rusty piece of black iron revealed its true appearance. It was a piece of 9 heaven star iron. Specks of starlight flickered on its surface and formed a starry sky. The surface of the 9 heaven star iron already had specks of starlight on it, just like the stars in the pitch-black sky. However, the specks of starlight on this piece of star iron seemed to have been refined by someone to form a starry sky map. Such a method was unimaginable. Gu Fei tried to release his divine sense into the black iron in his hand. Boom! As soon as Gu Fei's divine sense came into contact with the black iron, he felt a sudden tremor. Then, he found himself in the endless starry sky. This is... Galaxies with life kept evolving in front of him. The soaring dragon ancestral star, the unknown ancestral star domain, and several other star domains with life that were not inferior to the soaring dragon ancestral star domain. There were a total of 5 life star domains recorded in the black iron block. Each of the life star domains had a unique characteristic, which was that they had a giant life ancestral planet. In the vast universe, there were countless star regions, but there were only 5 true ancestral planets with life. Moreover, Earth was one of the 5 ancestral planets recorded on the black iron block. The Earth recorded on the black iron was called the Kunlun ancestral star. Gu Fei found it hard to believe that such a small star was also an ancestral star. He had been to Earth before, so he knew that it was a very small star with life. In the endless starry sky, a star like Earth was not eye-catching at all. However, there must be a reason why it was marked as an ancestral star. The 5 ancestral stars were extremely far apart. Gu Fei carefully observed the constantly changing starry sky in front of him. Soon, he found the soaring dragon star domain. It's so far away! When he saw the distance between the soaring dragon star domain and his current location, Gu Fei could not help but be stunned. It was too far away. Even with his cultivation, he would probably have to fly in the starry sky for hundreds of years to return to the soaring dragon ancestral star. Of course, there was a shortcut, which was to enter the Hell Path, and then enter the extreme west of the soaring dragon continent through the Hell Path. However, this was not the path that Gu Fei wanted to take. He wanted to gain experience, and grow through constant training. Xiao Qin wanted to continue walking the Kunlun ancient road. He looked forward to seeing what he would encounter at the end of this ancient road. The starry sky chart on the astral iron did not record the ancient Kunlun road. That was to say, when that supreme character left the starry sky chart, the ancient Kunlun road might not have appeared yet. After all, this was a starry sky chart refined by a supreme existence during the ancient times. After knowing his location, Gu Fei's spiritual force withdrew from the metal block. Master! When Gu Zhong saw that Gu Fei had recovered, he couldn't help rejoicing. It had to be known that his master had been standing there for almost an hour, staring at the piece of metal in his hand the entire time. Gu Fei's abnormality caused Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng to feel uneasy. It's fine, your spiritual will didn't enter it, Gu Fei said strangely. Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng shook their heads in bewilderment. They couldn't sense anything strange from the metal block. Although the rust on the surface of the metal block had already fallen off, in their eyes, there was nothing special about the black metal other than a few spots of light on it. What's going on? Gu Fei was a little puzzled. Only his spiritual force could enter the 9 heaven star metal, while others couldn't. However, he immediately understood something. After all, his cultivation and realm were a whole realm lower than Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng's. His spiritual force was extremely strong, and it wasn't something that Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng could compare to. Perhaps the spiritual force of at least a semi-sage realm cultivator was needed to read this starry sky chart. Alright, let's go out. As Gu Fei spoke, he stretched out his hand and drew a line in front of him. His finger immediately drew a spatial crack that was several meters long. We can finally go out. Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng were very happy. Although Gu Fei's inner world was a cultivation treasure land that cultivators dreamed of, it was too small. Moreover, there were some places that they couldn't enter. For example, they couldn't enter the area where the immortal herb was. They couldn't enter the area where the divine spring of life was either. The divine spring of life and the immortal herb were the two most important things in Gu Fei's inner world. With the nourishment of the divine spring of life, this part of the world could grow infinitely. The immortal herb was a life-saving item. A drop of the immortal herb could bring a person back to life. No matter the degree of injury, as long as the person's spiritual soul didn't dissipate, they could be saved. At this moment, Gu Fei had already taken a step out. Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng hurriedly followed. When they walked out of Gu Fei's inner world, the spatial crack behind them instantly disappeared. This is... After Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng came out of Gu Fei's inner world, they saw a large group of people in front of them. These people were all wearing beast skins and holding bows and arrows. A valiant aura emanated from them. In front of this group of people stood an old man and a few young men. "Greetings, immortal master!" When the old man saw Gu Fei, he hurriedly bowed respectfully to Gu Fei. They had been waiting here for several hours, but even though some of them had stood until their backs were aching, they did not dare to complain. This was because they had already learned from their old patriarch that this young man was an immortal master from Kunlun. In their opinion, the methods that Gu Fei had displayed were no different from that of an immortal god. What they didn't know was that Gu Fei wasn't an immortal god, but a peak half-saint who was many times stronger than an immortal god. Being able to meet such an existence was already a blessing in disguise for their ancestors. These people's foundations are not bad. I plan to bring them into my inner world. You'll do it. Gu Fei ignored the old patriarch and turned to Gu Zhong. Yes. Gu Zhong was stunned for a moment before he quickly replied. He realized that these primitive people's physiques were indeed not bad. Their bodies were strong and their qi and blood were vigorous. Such people were very suitable to cultivate the martial Tao. Where did Master find these people? Gu Fei didn't tell Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng about the great desolate star. Brother Gu, are you really going to nurture your own forces? Zhong Li Meng said in shock. Gu Fei actually planned to bring these thousands of people into his inner world. Could it be that he wanted to nurture a large group of martial artists? Zhong Li Meng couldn't help but shiver when he thought about how abnormal Gu Fei and his disciple were. Chapter 1906. Rumble. Gu Fei used his inner heaven and earth power to cover a 10-mile radius. Heaven and earth shook. His inner heaven and earth power pushed against the great ancient star's inner heaven and earth power. With the stone city as the center, the 10-mile radius was separated from the great ancient star by Gu Fei's inner heaven and earth power. Then, it rose into the sky. The people in the stone city had never seen such a shocking scene. Everyone was dumbfounded. Many of them even knelt down towards Gu Fei and the others. Such a method was too shocking. Celestial Master! The Meng family's old patriarch was so excited that his body trembled. His decision was right. After the Meng family followed this celestial master, they would definitely become stronger. The stronger this celestial master was, the better it was for them. As the patriarch of the Meng family, the old man had to find a way out for the Meng family. On the great ancient star, the Meng family had no way out. At this moment, the 10-mile radius rose into the sky. A huge hole appeared in the sky. Gu Fei's inner heaven and earth power surged out from the hole. The hole was expanding. A great suction force was generated from the hole, sucking the stone city and the surrounding area 10 miles into it. At this moment, the people in the stone city could see another world through the hole in the sky. It was a world filled with spiritual qi. Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng were shocked by Gu Fei's method. It was the first time they had seen someone put an area into his inner heaven and earth. Inner heaven and earth was a name that was very far away from them. Gu Zhong and Zhong Li Meng were almighty, but they couldn't open up their own inner heaven and earth. Not everyone could open up their own inner heaven and earth. Gu Fei being able to open up his own inner heaven and earth was an anomaly. Of course, one couldn't only open up one's own inner heaven and earth. Some ownerless inner heaven and earth could be refined as long as the cultivator's cultivation was strong enough. In the end, the stone city was moved into Gu Fei's inner heaven and earth. Gu Fei moved the stone city to a valley where the earth veins spiritual qi converged. Cultivating in such a place would yield twice the results with half the effort. The process of cultivation was very difficult. Even with Gu Zhong's guidance, the people in the stone city couldn't become powerful all of a sudden. Gu Fei had made a long-term plan. He wanted to use these thousands of people as a foundation to establish a martial Dao inheritance. He wanted to carry forward the martial Dao. However, Gu Fei knew very well that the path he was taking would be extremely arduous. After settling down the Meng clan and the others, Gu Fei left the inner world. He handed everything over to Gu Zhong and became a hands-off shopkeeper. Zhongli Meng also stayed in Gu Fei's inner world. As the big boss of Drunken Immortals' residence in Dragon Emperor City in South Wilderness, she knew how to establish a force. With her help, Gu Fei was very reassured. As the boss of the Drunken Immortal residence in the Dragon Emperor City of the Southern Wilderness, she knew how to establish a force. With her help, Gu Fei was very reassured. The ancient Kunlun road could not be broken in his hands. Gu Fei could not possibly take away this transportation formation. He chose a place and placed the transportation formation there. After that, Gu Fei walked around the entire great ancient star. He even went deep into the earth. However, he didn't find anything. Therefore, he chose a place and set it up. Then, Gu Fei walked around the entire great desolate planet. He even went deep into the planet. In the end, he didn't find anything. Then, he returned to where the teleportation portal was and activated it. After that, Gu Fei walked around the entire great ancient star. He even went deep into the earth. However, he didn't find anything. Therefore, he returned to the place where the formation was and activated it. The ancient Kunlun road had always been a road of no return. Gu Fei had no idea when this ancient road had appeared. Even the three Grand Masters in the Kunlun Immortal Realm probably did not know about it. Gu Fei didn't know where the Kunlun Immortal Realm led to. What were the ancestors of the Kunlun Ancestral Star looking for? Gu Fei was very curious. After a long time, when the aura of the outside world appeared, Gu Fei knew that he had finally arrived at his next destination. This is... When Gu Fei came out of the space tunnel, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. What's going on? He discovered that he had actually appeared on an incomparably huge continent. There was a formation protecting the sky above this continent, and a divine sun hung high in the sky. This was a continent floating in the boundless starry sky. It had a radius of millions of kilometers. Someone had refined a sun star with great magic power and fixed it in the sky above this continent. It was the existence of the sun in the sky that allowed the countless living beings on this continent to survive in the endless starry sky. Only a sage could do something like that. Even half-saints and demi-saints couldn't set up a super grand formation that covered an area of 500,000 kilometers, much less refine a sun star and place it in the sky above this continent. Could it be that a life-bearing star had been destroyed by someone, and someone had used an unparalleled power to protect this area of 1,000,000 miles? The appearance of life was not man-made, but natural. The world evolved into all things, and the ancestral star was the carrier of life. Rumble! Suddenly, countless figures appeared at the end of the plain opposite the mountain where Gu Fei was. That's... Standing on the mountain peak, Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the scene in the distance. It was an army of mortals, numbering in the tens of thousands. What surprised Gu Fei was that these tens of thousands of cavalrymen were chasing after a group of less than 3,000 cavalrymen. This situation seemed to be a battle between two armies. One of the cavalrymen was defeated and was then chased by the other cavalrymen for thousands of miles. Among the pursuing cavalrymen, there was a woman wearing bright yellow armor. At this time, she was still fearless as she led her thousands of subordinates to flee for their lives. In Kunlun's ancestral star, Gu Fei knew that only the royal family could wear bright yellow armor. Although this wasn't Kunlun's ancestral star, Gu Fei's intuition told him that this valiant woman should be from the royal family of some country. Whoever can capture Princess Yao Yu will be rewarded with 10,000 taels of gold and will be given the title of Marquis. A war chariot charged out from the rear of the enemy army. On the chariot stood a young man wearing the same bright yellow armor. It was this young man who was shouting, "Ji Guang, you bastard!" Princess Yao Yu suddenly took out the bow and arrow hanging on her saddle. She turned around and shot an arrow at the young man on the war chariot. Whoosh! Chapter 1907. Whoosh! The sharp arrow pierced through the air, turning into a ray of cold light that shot towards Ji Guang's throat. This arrow was fast and ruthless. Although it was hundreds of zhang away, it arrived in an instant. Clang! Ji Guang's reaction was not slow either. He instantly drew his sword and slashed it away. "Ha, Yao Yu, don't struggle pointlessly." The young man called Ji Guang drove his chariot with a long sword in his hand, chasing after Princess Yao Yu. Behind him were tens of thousands of armored cavalrymen. Their hooves thundered, causing the ground to shake. Ji Guang's chariot was even faster than the armored cavalrymen because the chariot was pulled by 4 black horses without a single strand of hair on their bodies. This was a divine steed called Black Cloud, a famous 1,000-li steed. The 4 black clouds exerted their strength together, their 4 hooves flying, actually getting closer and closer. The distance between Ji Guang's chariot and Princess Yao Yu was gradually decreasing. "Princess, you go first." An old general next to Princess Yao Yu shouted, then turned his horse around and charged towards Ji Guang. "Zhongyi Marquis." Seeing the old general risking his life against Ji Guang, Princess Yao Yu couldn't help but tear up. This Zhongyi Marquis was actually her uncle, a brave general of Dragon Country who had fought for most of his life. Who would have thought that in his old age, he would not be able to enjoy his old age? The old general was also not bad. He used a long spear in his hand to block Ji Guang's path and started fighting with him. However, Ji Guang was very strong. The long sword in his hand actually shot out rays of sword light. Obviously, he had already cultivated to the realm of external qi. The old general's great spear also had a green light flickering on its spearhead. However, the aura released by the old general could not be compared to Ji Guang's sword light. If it wasn't for the old general's rich battle experience, he would have already been killed by Ji Guang. Even so, the old general was already in danger. His armor was constantly being cut by the sword light, blood dyed his armor red. "Kill!" The old general was like a tiger. A ferocious aura burst out from his body. His white beard fluttered in the wind. The great spear in his hand seemed to have turned into a huge dragon that continuously tried to devour Ji Guang. Zhongyi Marquis truly lives up to his name. The light in Ji Guang's eyes grew brighter and brighter. He couldn't help but admire this old general. He knew that his cultivation was much higher than this old general, but he still couldn't kill him. This was because he didn't have enough experience. The old general had killed countless people in his life, and this kind of experience was accumulated from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Although Ji Guang was stronger than the old general, it wouldn't be easy for him to kill him. "Uncle!" Seeing the old general risking his life for her, Princess Yao Yu could not help but shed a stream of tears. "Let's go!" Seeing that Princess Yao Yu was still watching, the old general couldn't help but shout. Because he was distracted, he was struck by Ji Guang's sword light, causing blood to bloom. With tears in her eyes, Princess Yao Yu turned around and galloped away. At this moment, the tens of thousands of cavalrymen behind Ji Guang charged forward like a flood, with the general wielding 2 hammers stepping out of the crowd. "Your Royal Highness, allow me to kill this old man." That general was as tall as a black iron tower. His face was covered with a full beard, and the 2 hammers in his hands were each around 1 meter in diameter. "Roar!" The old general roared, his voice shaking the sky. "You brat, you want to take my life? You don't have the qualifications!" shouted the old general. "Old man, eat my hammer!" That general directly charged over, blocking the old general. Prince Ji Guang took this chance to escape, driving his war chariot to continue chasing after Princess Yao Yu. At this time, Gu Fei was on top of the mountain. When he saw this scene, his heart couldn't help shaking. The scene of tens of thousands of cavalrymen charging was grand, but he had never seen something like this before. This was a battle between mortals, incomparably bitter and cruel. Gu Fei had no intention of interfering in the battle between mortals, but he had to know what kind of place this was. This continent spanned millions of miles, and there were countless lifeforms within. Clearly, on this continent, the human race was the main character. Swoosh! Gu Fei soared into the sky. With just a step, he arrived above the tens of thousands of cavalrymen. This is... At this time, a few hundred miles behind the cavalrymen, a black aura surged up. That black aura rolled in the air and actually condensed into an incomparably huge black skull. I didn't expect there to be demons here. Gu Fei sensed the demonic energy condensing. Haha, Imperial Preceptor's power has increased by another level. The day of my Ji country unifying the world is approaching. Ji Guang also saw the black skull in the sky behind him, and couldn't help but be overjoyed. Imperial Preceptor. Hearing this, Gu Fei's eyes couldn't help but shoot out a bright light. Inside the skull in the sky, there were countless souls struggling. These were the souls of people who had died not long ago, and they were imprisoned by someone. Someone was using these souls to cultivate demonic arts. Your Ji country has actually joined hands with the demons. At this moment, everyone noticed the shocking changes in the distant sky. Countless souls were struggling and howling in the skulls. Everyone seemed to hear the terrified screams of countless people on the verge of death. Swoosh! At this time, a few black shadows appeared behind the cavalrymen. They were 5 demons wearing black clothes and bamboo hats. Their bodies were shrouded in demonic energy. Imperial Preceptor's people are here. You're dead for sure. Ji Guang stopped. He knew that the remnants of Dragon Country no longer had any hope. Once Imperial Preceptor's people arrived, these people would die without a burial ground. Pooh! A black shadow flashed by. The head of the old general who was fighting with the Ji country's general flew up into the sky. Blood spurted high up into the sky. Uncle! Seeing this scene, Princess Yao Yu let out a sorrowful roar and almost fell from her horse. The 5 demonic shadows didn't make a sound. They directly charged into the thousands of cavalrymen and slaughtered them to their heart's content. In an instant, blood and flesh splattered everywhere. The scene was extremely bloody. The souls of the Dragon Country cavalrymen were continuously devoured by the 5 demonic shadows. The more they killed, the more souls they devoured, and the stronger they became. These demons were using the souls of the living to cultivate demonic arts. Damn it! A loud roar came from the sky. After that, a huge hand descended from the sky, directly grabbing the demonic shadows that were still charging into the Dragon Country cavalrymen. A huge pressure came down from the sky. The 5 demons were instantly shocked. They knew that they had met an expert. They couldn't care less about the souls anymore and wanted to escape. But unfortunately, their opponent was Gu Fei. The hand directly grabbed the 5 demon dwellers and exerted force. The 5 demon dwellers' bodies immediately exploded and turned into a bloody mist. Even their souls couldn't escape. A puny demon dares to harm the human race? Courting death. Gu Fei descended from the sky and stood in the air. Tens of thousands of people were dumbfounded at this scene. Who was this person? Could he be a legendary immortal? Since there were demons on this continent, there were also righteous cultivators who couldn't coexist with them. However, the strength of these righteous cultivators couldn't compare to the demons. Just like the war between the Ji country and the Dragon country. The Ji country had the support of the demons, while the Dragon country had the support of righteous cultivators. However, the Ji country supported by the demons destroyed the Dragon country supported by the righteous cultivators. From this, it could be seen that the demons actually had the advantage on this continent. This wasn't a good thing. The demons used the war to collect the souls of the dead. This way, their cultivation would rapidly increase, and the righteous cultivators would be no match for them. Gu Fei coldly glanced at Prince Ji Guang who was standing on the war chariot. Shit! Prince Ji Guang couldn't help but be alarmed. Just at this time, Gu Fei waved his hand. Prince Ji Guang flew up and landed at Gu Fei's feet. Gu Fei didn't hesitate and directly read the prince's memories. He quickly found out where this place was and why the Ji country wanted to attack the Dragon country. The demons wanted to destroy the Dragon country because they wanted to obtain the Dragon country's treasure. The Dragon country's treasure was said to be discovered by the first emperor of the Dragon country, the Dragon Emperor. Inside was something that the demons yearned for even in their dreams. It was also because of this that the demons joined hands with the Ji country to destroy the Dragon country. However, when the Ji country's army broke through the Dragon country's capital, the Dragon country's monarch gave the treasure map to his most beloved daughter, Princess Yaoyu. Princess Yaoyu took the treasure map and led thousands of cavalrymen out of the Dragon country's capital. As long as there were treasures, the Dragon country would be able to rise again. The demons were also determined to obtain the treasure. Therefore, Prince Ji Guang personally chased after Princess Yaoyu. Colluding with the demons and harming your own kind, you deserve to die. Gu Fei's voice was incomparably cold. Don't kill me. At this moment, Prince Ji Guang was terrified to the extreme. This person was too frightening. He had already cultivated to the realm of externalizing energy, but in the hands of this person, he was like a helpless child. Actually, what he didn't know was that even if the state preceptor of the Ji country came, Gu Fei would be able to kill him with one slap. Gu Fei didn't say anything and directly threw Prince Ji Guang towards the tens of thousands of cavalrymen of the Ji country. Your Royal Highness. Seeing this, the general of the Ji country immediately threw away the twin hammers in his hands and rushed forward. He stretched out his hands, wanting to catch Prince Ji Guang who was flying over. However, just as the general was about to catch Prince Ji Guang's body suddenly exploded and turned into a mist of blood. The general of the Ji country was instantly dumbstruck. He stood there with his hands outstretched and was drenched by the blood mist. Prince Ji Guang is dead. Chapter 1908. Tens of thousands of people were dumbfounded, especially the Ji country cavalry. They found it hard to believe that their future king was actually killed by someone. Not even his corpse was left behind. This is the result of colluding with the devils. Gu Fei's gaze swept across the tens of thousands of cavalrymen. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. You! After the black iron tower-like bearded general regained his senses, his voice was trembling. He was shocked and furious at the same time. The opponent was too powerful, even the imperial preceptor's subordinate was killed just like that. How could he be this person's opponent? Gu Fei waved his hand again, causing the bearded general to fly up as well. Roar! Bang! The bearded general's divine body exploded. He could only let out a furious roar before his body and soul were annihilated, leaving nothing behind. Wah! The Ji country cavalry was in an uproar. Gu Fei's method was too mystical. With a wave of his hand, he could kill an incomparably powerful general. This was simply unimaginable. Damn it, who killed my disciple? At that moment, the skull formed from demonic energy in the distant sky rapidly disappeared. A figure appeared in the sky and quickly flew towards Gu Fei. A devil at the Imperial Void Realm. When Gu Fei saw that person, he couldn't help but shake his head. This person couldn't even be compared to the three great masters of Kunlun. There was no sense of accomplishment in killing such a devil. If an ancient devil were to appear, it might be able to ignite Gu Fei's battle intent. That person flew through the sky. His body was shrouded in strands of black devilish chi, like a black smoke. His entire person seemed illusory. It's the Imperial Preceptor. The Imperial Preceptor is here. Among the several tens of thousands of cavalry, many generals recognized that person and couldn't help but exclaim. At this time, Princess Yaoyu and the rest stopped fleeing. This person who suddenly appeared seemed to be the archenemy of those devils. Moreover, this person was incomparably powerful, not even afraid of the Imperial Preceptor. Could this person really be a legendary immortal? Princess Yaoyu's mind was spinning rapidly. It was you who killed my disciple. That country of Ji's imperial preceptor stood in front of Gu Fei. His entire body was surrounded by demonic Ji and his voice was incomparably cold. His blood-red eyes stared fixedly at Gu Fei. Others might not be able to see the face of this state preceptor, but Gu Fei was different. He could already see that this was a middle-aged man with a thin face. This person's eyes were deep, his cheekbones were high, and there was a trace of an evil smile on his face. In particular, his blood-red pupils were emitting waves of ominous light. With one look, one could tell that this was a sinister and malicious person. Of course, those who cultivated the devil path used the power of all living beings to increase their cultivation. Their killing intent was very heavy, and they were all vicious and merciless people. Only such people would not hesitate to walk the devil path. So what if I killed that kid? Gu Fei calmly looked at the middle-aged man opposite him, his tone incomparably calm. You! Seeing how calm Gu Fei was when facing him, this state preceptor couldn't help but feel nervous. Where did such a person come from? Seeing that Gu Fei was able to stand in the air, that state preceptor had already viewed Gu Fei as a formidable opponent. One must know that only cultivators of the Imperial Void Realm could fly in the air. Then you can accompany him in death, the middle-aged man said as he took out a black gourd from his waist. Immortal Elder, be careful, that's the devil fire gourd. Princess Yao Yu shouted at Gu Fei. It was precisely this devil weapon in the hands of the state preceptor that caused the Dragon Country's army to suffer a crushing defeat, allowing the Ji Country's army to easily invade the Dragon Country's capital. This Dragon Country's princess had already viewed Gu Fei as a legendary cultivator. In this Tianyuan continent, there were legends of devil cultivators and cultivators. Devil cultivators gradually hid themselves, and in the recent hundreds of years, they began to appear. Wherever a devil cultivator appeared, there would be death following them. Devil cultivators roamed the continent. At the beginning, they were very mysterious, and their whereabouts were strange. But gradually, some of the devil cultivators' misdeeds began to spread in the Tianyuan continent. In the end, it caused the righteous cultivators to take action and fight against the devil cultivators. Devil cultivators were not invincible. They also had enemies, and their mortal enemies were the legendary cultivators. However, the cultivators did not appear at all. Because of this, devil cultivators in the Tianyuan continent became more and more rampant. In the current world, disputes arose in the Tianyuan continent. All the human countries were constantly at war with each other, and the number of people who died was uncountable. And every battlefield was a paradise for devil cultivators. The reason why living souls were called living souls was because they were the souls of people who had just died. This kind of soul contained powerful soul power, which was a great supplement for devil cultivators to increase their cultivation. As long as they could collect enough living souls, the devil cultivators' cultivation would become stronger. The state preceptor of the Ji country started the war between the Ji country and the Dragon country. Both countries had countless casualties, which allowed the state preceptor to collect countless living souls, and his cultivation broke through to the peak of the void-controlling realm. He was only one step away from becoming a devil god with endless lifespan. Then, he would be invincible in the world. Even if those cultivators jumped out, they would not be afraid. At this time, the state preceptor had already pulled out the stopper of the black gourd. He then aimed the mouth of the gourd at Gu Fei, and a circle of devil light flickered on the mouth of the gourd. Die! The state preceptor stretched out his hand and slapped the bottom of the gourd. Boom! A black flame immediately rushed out from the black gourd, turning into an incomparably huge fire dragon, and fiercely pounced towards Gu Fei. The devil flame condensed into a dragon, and it emitted a heart-palpitating devil aura, causing the tens of thousands of cavalrymen to be extremely frightened. They felt a great danger. It's this move again. After Princess Yao Yu saw the fire dragon, she couldn't help but be incomparably nervous. Before, when the state preceptor of the Ji country broke through the capital of the Dragon country, he used this move. This was something that Princess Yao Yu saw with her own eyes. This fire dragon devoured the lives of countless soldiers of the Dragon country, and even half of the capital was burned to ashes. Although the Tianyuan continent was only a few million miles wide, the number of humans living on this continent was counted in the hundreds of millions. Moreover, the Dragon Country was a big country on the Tianyuan continent. As the capital of the Dragon Country, the population was at least several million. Half of the capital was burned to ashes, which meant that at least 1 million people were burned to death by the devil flame. This state preceptor of the G country had collected millions of living souls. No wonder his cultivation had soared to such a terrifying level. However, the next scene caused everyone to be stupefied. That young man only extended his right fist, and then casually punched out. Chapter 1909. Boom! With a loud sound, the 1,000-meter-long devil dragon was directly dispersed. The powerful force not only dispersed the devil dragon formed by the devil flames, but it also didn't diminish in the slightest. Bang! The black gourd in the Imperial Preceptor's hand exploded. A ball of devil flames instantly enveloped the Imperial Preceptor. Roar! The Imperial Preceptor was instantly frightened out of his wits. He roared as he circulated the devil energy in his body. A layer of devil light immediately rushed out from his body, enveloping him within. However, the devil flames were too powerful and tyrannical. The layer of devil light on the Imperial Preceptor's body only lasted for a few breaths of time before collapsing. The Imperial Preceptor's entire body was enveloped by the devil flames. His clothes instantly turned into ashes. The devil flames directly drilled into his body and burned outwards. This kind of pain was unimaginable. Usually, when he used this devil flames to burn people, those who were burned would also suffer the same pain. Under the endless pain, they would be burned to ashes by the devil flames. Save me, I don't want to die. The Imperial Preceptor naturally knew how powerful the devil flames were. However, he also knew that once he was burned by the devil flames, everything would be over. With the devil flames burning his body, even if a true devil god came, he wouldn't be able to save him. Karma really doesn't feel good. When Princess Yao Yu and the other dragon generals saw this scene, they felt incomparably delighted. In the end, this devil still ended up dying under his own devil flames. This was truly retribution for evil, and good for good. The Imperial Preceptor's entire body was emitting devil flames. His flesh and bones were gradually being burned to ashes. Even his soul was struggling within the devil flames, unable to escape. Quick, give me a quick death! The Imperial Preceptor shouted at Gu Fei. This kind of inhuman pain was unbearable to him. He was about to go crazy and could collapse at any moment. Humph! Gu Fei didn't say anything and was about to leave. However, at this moment, Princess Yao Yu galloped over on her horse. She jumped down from her horse and kowtowed to Gu Fei. Immortal Elder, please accept me as your disciple. Princess Yao Yu kowtowed to Gu Fei. Yes. Hearing this, Gu Fei couldn't help but be startled. He then activated his divine eyes of martial path and scanned Princess Yao Yu. This is... When he used his martial Dao Heavenly Eye to look at Princess Yao Yu's physique, he couldn't help but be surprised. Princess Yao Yu actually had the water attribute physique of the 5 elements. In the martial Dao inheritance passed down by the martial ancestor, there was a method to cultivate the 5 elemental true power. For example, Gu Zhong cultivated the metal elemental true power, and this Princess Yao Yu actually had a water elemental physique. The water elemental physique could cultivate the water elemental true power and the water elemental martial body. The combination of the 5 elements is invincible, Gu Fei was muttering to himself. If he had 5 such disciples and mastered the 5 elements martial body, wouldn't he be able to sweep through the world? His eyes lit up. However, if he accepted Princess Yao Yu as his disciple so easily, it would be too casual. If you want to be my disciple, then come find me at the peak of the Divine Mountain. I'll only wait for you for half a month. After saying that, Gu Fei directly soared into the sky and flew towards the capital of Dragon Country. He felt another powerful demonic energy. This demonic energy was much stronger than the Imperial Advisor of G Country. At the very least, it was at the level of the demon body in the Tianyuan continent. In the soaring dragon ancestral star, this level of cultivation was equivalent to the demigod realm. They had already seen through the mysteries of longevity. This kind of existence had an almost unlimited lifespan. Divine Mountain! Princess Yao Yu couldn't help but be shocked. When she came back to her senses, Gu Fei had already disappeared into the distance. At this time, after Prince Ji Guang and the imperial advisor of Ji country were killed by Gu Fei, the morale of the tens of thousands of Ji country's cavalry had already collapsed. After Gu Fei left, the tens of thousands of Ji country's cavalry immediately dispersed. Protect the princess! When the thousands of Dragon Country cavalry saw this, they immediately surrounded Princess Yao Yu in the center. Divine Mountain! At this time, Princess Yao Yu actually began to ponder. The Divine Mountain of the Tianyuan continent was not an ordinary mountain. It was the highest mountain in the center of the Tianyuan continent. According to the legends, it was a divine mountain where gods had once descended. In the hearts of the Tianyuan continent's humans, it was a sacred mountain. To want to reach the peak of the Divine Mountain, for a mortal, it was practically impossible. Not only was the Divine Mountain a sacred mountain in the hearts of humans, it was also the highest mountain in the entire Tianyuan continent. Even cultivators might not be able to reach the peak of the Divine Mountain. According to the legends, the peak of the Divine Mountain was guarded by a divine beast. There had once been people who wanted to reach the peak of the Divine Mountain, but not a single one had succeeded. Those people didn't disappear, they gave up halfway. Your Highness, I think we should forget about it. Beside Princess Yao Yu, a middle-aged general said. No, I must take that person as my master. Gu Fei's strength was obvious to all. Even the devil cultivators weren't his opponent. If she could become his disciple, she would also have a powerful battle prowess. Princess Yao Yu had already made up her mind. Compared to being a princess or even a ruler, what Princess Yao Yu wanted to do now was to become a strong cultivator. As long as she was strong enough, she could even kill the ruler of a country. Just like the imperial teacher of the Ji country. If it wasn't for him, the Dragon country's capital city wouldn't have been breached by the Ji country's army, and the country wouldn't have perished. Princess Yao Yu finally understood that having great strength was the most practical thing. At this time, the Dragon country's capital city had already turned into hell. Black shadows roamed the streets, harvesting lives and devouring souls. Damn it! When Gu Fei arrived at the Dragon country's capital city and saw this scene, he couldn't help but be enraged. The entire capital city occupied an area of 100 li, and the eastern half of the city had already been turned into ashes, burned by the devil flames. And in the remaining half of the city, miserable screams rang out unceasingly. The streets were filled with people, and blood flowed like rivers. Every time a black shadow flashed by, someone would be killed. Those weren't true devils, but rather, they had no physical bodies and were similar to clones. Gu Fei discovered that these devil shadows all came from a black coffin floating in the air above the Dragon country's capital city. The coffin contained an incomparably powerful devil Dao energy. Humph! Gu Fei coldly snorted, and then directly struck out with the heaven-covering palm. Rumble! A huge palm instantly covered the entire heaven and earth, slamming down towards the devil coffin. An extremely powerful force shook this part of the world. Who dares to interfere in this daddy's business? Chapter 1910. The sky-blanketing hand could cover the sky with a single hand. The huge hand enveloped the entire region, radiating with extremely terrifying ripples of energy. It slammed towards the coffin that hovered above the capital. What? The demon god in the coffin was shocked. The power was just too great. Even after living for countless years, he had never encountered an existence like this. Roar! The demon god in the coffin roared out furiously. Countless black figures charged out from the ruined city below the coffin. They charged into the sky and all entered the coffin. Boom! A loud bang resounded from within the demon coffin. After that, the lid of the demon coffin opened to reveal a crack, and boundless demonic energy poured out from within. Rumble! An extremely powerful demonic power burst out from the demon coffin. The space around the demon coffin trembled, as if it could not withstand such a powerful force. A demonic figure appeared from the coffin. Kill! The demonic figure's killing intent was shocking. He wielded a demonic blade and swung it upwards. Black light surged into the sky, radiating with terrifying ripples of blade chi. He wanted to break through Gu Fei's sky-blanketing hand. However, the difference in strength between the two of them was just too great. How could a mere demon god be Gu Fei's opponent? Bang! There was a muffled sound, and the 10,000 feet long demonic saber light shattered the moment it collided with the huge hand descending from the sky. The hand was unstoppable. It was like a mountain descending, unstoppable. How is this possible? How can there be such a powerful existence on the Tianyuan continent? Even those old bastards on the God of Heaven mountain do not possess such great cultivation. Only now did the demon god in the coffin realize that something was off. He had underestimated the opponent that had suddenly appeared. This mistake was enough to cost him his life. The demonic aura dispersed under the hand and the coffin trembled. The demonic figure that had surged out from the coffin directly dimmed from the great impact. Demonic blood escape! The demon god in the coffin bellowed out. Afterwards, the smell of blood emanated from the coffin. Afterward, a blood-red light surged out from the coffin and enveloped it. Shwa! The void shattered as the blood light that shot out from the fiend coffin tore through the void in an attempt to escape. Unfortunately, this demon god had encountered Gu Fei. This demon god's fate had already been decided. Bang! Before the demon coffin could escape into the shattered void and escape, Gu Fei slapped it down from the sky. Even the lid of the demon coffin was blasted away by this strike, and a figure fell out from the demon coffin. Demon corpse! When Gu Fei saw the devil god inside the coffin, he couldn't help being startled. It was a corpse. To be more accurate, it was an ancient devil corpse. After a demonic cultivator perished, their corpses remained immortal. Furthermore, they were buried in a place where they nurtured their corpses. Day and night, they were nourished by yin energy. After a long period of time, their corpses regained intelligence. The fleshly body of the demon corpse was extremely strong. Not only that, the demon coffin wasn't an ordinary object either. It was actually able to withstand Gu Fei's heaven-covering palm without being smashed into smithereens. Countless cracks appeared on the surface of the demon coffin, as though it would shatter with a single touch. Traces of devil chi seeped out from the cracks on the demon coffin. The demon corpse soared into the sky and entered the demon coffin once more. At this moment, the demon corpse no longer cared about anything else. He only wanted to escape. His opponent was simply too strong. A single strike from him was enough to give him an unprecedented impact. He could sense an immense danger. If he didn't escape now, he would definitely die here. Who in the world are you? I have no enmity with you. Why must you spoil my plans? The demon corpse controlled the demon coffin and tore through the void, wanting to escape into the shattered void. At the same time, he was shouting at Gu Fei. Humph! Everyone has the right to punish a devil who harms the masses. Gu Fei unleashed another heaven-covering palm. This time around, the might of the heaven-covering palm was even stronger. The void that was enveloped by the palm was rapidly being destroyed. Arg! The demon corpse let out an indignant roar from within the demon coffin. After that, the demon coffin that was riddled with cracks still crumbled under Gu Fei's heaven-covering palm. The demon coffin, along with the demon corpse within it, were all obliterated by Gu Fei's heaven-covering palm. Both its body and soul were destroyed. The powerful demon corpse had fallen just like that. Swoosh! Just as Gu Fei slapped the demon corpse to death with a single palm, a beam of sword light appeared in the sky. A sharp sword she rippled over. Sword flight. A sword cultivator. When Gu Fei saw that beam of sword light, he couldn't help but frown. At this moment, the devil chi that shrouded the entire capital of Dragon Country had been dispersed by his heaven-covering palm. These fellas sure are crafty. Gu Fei was a little displeased. He could sense a few powerful auras appearing in the distance. These people had clearly been in the vicinity for a long time. However, they didn't make a move, allowing the countless mortals in the capital of Dragon Country to be slaughtered by the demon corpse and have their souls extracted. Swoosh! A beam of sword light shot across the sky. A young man in white stepped on a flying sword and arrived in front of Gu Fei. He then stopped in the air. Junior Sikong Jian pays his respects to Senior. The young man in white bowed respectfully to Gu Fei. The young man called Sikong Jian didn't dare to be negligent. One should know that this senior in front of him, who had the same appearance as him, had just killed the demon corpse, who was known as the #1 expert of diabolism. It was no wonder that these cultivators didn't dare to make a move against the demon corpse. The demon corpse was infamous for being the #1 expert of diabolism. Apart from the one on the God of Heaven mountain, no one was a match for the demon corpse. Peak of the transcending mortality realm. If it weren't for the flying sword under your feet, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to fly. You're too weak, Gu Fei said after glancing at the young man on the flying sword. Hearing that, Sikong Jian couldn't help but blush. However, he didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction. The senior in front of him was probably even more powerful than the one on the God of Heaven mountain. Even if the one on the God of Heaven mountain personally took action, it would be impossible for him to kill the demon corpse, who was known as the #1 expert of the Tianyuan continent, in just 2 moves. The title of the #1 expert of the Tianyuan continent was not earned by his name, but by the demon corpse. At this moment, the other cultivators arrived as well. We pay our respects to Senior. 3 cultivators of different appearances arrived before Gu Fei and bowed respectfully to Gu Fei. Where do you come from? Gu Fei only glanced at the 3 of them before saying calmly. The 3 of them did not have a high level of cultivation. The middle-aged Taoist had the highest level of cultivation, but he was only at the first heavenly layer. We come from the God of Heaven mountain, the people answered hurriedly. The God of Heaven mountain. Chapter 1911. The arrival of the 4 cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain surprised Gu Fei. He knew about the existence of the God of Heaven mountain from Jiguang's memories, but the cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain had not appeared for hundreds of years. In the Tianyuan continent, the cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain were the nemesis of the demonic cultivators. The cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain and the demonic cultivators had been fighting for countless years. Since the beginning, the cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain had the upper hand in this battle. The demonic cultivators were forced to hide in the Tianyuan continent. In the recent hundreds of years, the forces of the demonic cultivators developed very quickly, especially with the appearance of the #1 demonic cultivator in the Tianyuan continent, the demonic corpse. The demonic corpse was extremely powerful and had the cultivation of a demon god. His appearance directly caused chaos in the Tianyuan continent. All the human forces in the Tianyuan continent fought endlessly. The demonic cultivators took the opportunity to collect living souls to cultivate their demonic arts. However, the cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain seemed to have disappeared, allowing the demonic cultivators to harm the innocent mortals. Not a single person left the mountain. However, it was different this time. The Dragon Country and the Ji Country were both big countries in the Tanglong continent. The war between the 2 countries was bound to result in countless casualties. Of course, to the demonic cultivators, they did not care about the lives of mortals. These demonic cultivators even hoped that the more humans died, the better. The influence of this matter was too great. The cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain could not sit still anymore. The higher-ups of the God of Heaven mountain sent 4 great disciples to help the Dragon Country. The affairs of the world were unpredictable. Who knew that before the 4 great cultivators from the God of Heaven mountain could reach the capital of the Dragon Country, the capital of the Dragon Country was already breached by the army of the Ji Country. Moreover, they discovered that the mastermind behind all this was actually the #1 demonic cultivator in the Tianyuan continent, the demon corpse. When they discovered that the demon corpse was the mastermind behind all this, they became even more careful. After all, if they were discovered by the demon corpse, only death awaited them. The demon corpse was a demon god. If he wanted to kill these cultivators from the god of Heaven Mountain, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Gu Fei did not waste any time and directly asked the 4 cultivators where the teleportation formation was. He could not stay in this place forever. However, he had an appointment with Dragon Country's Princess Yahweh in half a month. Gu Fei was capable of killing off the demon corpse. Due to that, the cultivators from Heavenly God Mountain dared not hide anything. Thus, they revealed many of the things that Gu Fei wanted to know. He found out from these people that there really was a teleportation formation platform at the peak of the God of Heaven Mountain. However, this teleportation formation platform had not been used for many years. Because it was very difficult for the cultivators on the Tianyuan continent to find immortal crystals to revive the transmission array, they could only let the transmission array fall into disuse. Gu Fei didn't hesitate. After learning the location of the teleportation formation, he immediately left. He wanted to ascend to the peak of the Heavenly Mountain. The 4 cultivators from the God of Heaven Mountain stayed behind to deal with the aftermath. Dragon Country couldn't be destroyed. A cultivator from the God of Heaven Mountain came out and ordered the Ji Kingdom to retreat. The king of Dragon Country was already killed when the Ji Kingdom's army broke through the capital of Dragon Country. However, one of the youngest sons of Chi Dragon managed to escape. At this moment, Gu Fei didn't care about these things. Very quickly, a towering mountain appeared in Gu Fei's vision. It's too high. Gu Fei stopped high up in the sky. He saw that halfway up the mountain was shrouded in clouds. There didn't seem to be many cultivators on the mountain. The God of Heaven Mountain's inheritance had already declined. There weren't many cultivators on the mountain that possessed true abilities. It was no wonder that those demonic cultivators dared to run amok on the Tianyuan continent. Gu Fei thought about his appointment with Yao Yu. He would wait for her at the peak of the God of Heaven Mountain for half a month. Accepting a disciple couldn't be done casually. Gu Fei wanted to test Yao Yu's temperament. Although this princess of Dragon Country had a water elemental physique, in his opinion, temperament was more important than natural physique. If a person's temperament wasn't good, then no matter how strong their physique was, Gu Fei wouldn't accept them as a disciple. It must be known that if she could reach the peak of the God of Heaven Mountain, it would be enough to prove that Princess Yao Yu had a good temperament. Only people with great willpower could truly reach the peak. Gu Fei directly flew towards the mountain in front of him. At this moment, he didn't know that the matter of him killing the demon corpse had caused a huge commotion on the Tianyuan continent. Those demonic cultivators had even gone into hiding, afraid that this malefic star would find them. At this moment, the entire Tianyuan continent felt as if a storm was brewing. Just as Gu Fei ascended the God of Heaven Mountain, in the territory of Dragon Country, a man and a horse took advantage of the night to gallop on the main road. Very quickly, they disappeared around the corner. Even though it was already late at night, the peak of the God of Heaven Mountain was still as bright as day. It was as if there was no night here. Fellow Taoist, why have you come to the God of Heaven Mountain? When Gu Fei set foot on the peak of the God of Heaven Mountain, an old voice rang out. This voice appeared very suddenly. Even Gu Fei couldn't sense the person's existence immediately. Humph! Gu Fei snorted coldly. He directly released his presence. His presence enveloped the entire mountain in an instant. Very soon, an old man walked out. It was an old Taoist with white hair and white hair. He wore white robes. The old Taoist had white hair and a ruddy complexion. However, Gu Fei could clearly sense that there was an extremely great power within the old man's body. This old Taoist was not simple. Who are you? Gu Fei asked. Although the old Taoist was very powerful, there was still a huge gap between him and himself. He could crush this old Taoist with a single finger. However, in the Tianyuan continent, a demigod cultivator was already the strongest cultivator. The old Taoist's cultivation was clearly weaker than the demonic corpse, but it was not by much. As soon as they fought with their lives on the line, it was still unknown who would emerge victorious. I am the protector of the God of Heaven Mountain, the old Taoist said with a smile on his face. The protector of the God of Heaven Mountain. Gu Fei was rather surprised when he heard that. This was a protector of the mountain. There was actually nothing much at the peak of the God of Heaven mountain. There was only a pavilion. A few immortal fruits were placed on the stone table in the pavilion. Clearly, this old man was enjoying his immortal fruits and wine. You sure know how to enjoy yourself. Gu Fei smiled and did not say anything else. Then, he directly walked towards a formation platform. Fellow Taoist, you! The old Taoist could not help but become extremely excited when he saw Gu Fei actually walk towards the formation platform. He was the protector of the God of Heaven mountain, so he naturally knew the origins of the formation platform. Chapter 1912. The Tianyuan continent was only a few 100,000 kilometers wide. This was a region covered by a Saint Terre and floated in the boundless starry sky. This was the first time Gu Fei had seen such a region. Perhaps this was an area that had survived after a planet with life had been destroyed by someone. Countless humans lived in this area. There were hundreds of millions of humans on the Tianyuan continent. There were mountains, rivers, and lakes. The human world was also divided into 7 or 8 countries. These countries did not have good relationships with each other. Some countries were at war with each other, but there were also countries that were content with the status quo and did not want to start a war. However, the war between the Dragon Country and the Ji Country affected the situation of the entire Tianyuan continent. As the Ji Country attacked the capital of the Dragon Country was destroyed. However, the Ji Country did not gain any advantage. Countless soldiers of the Ji Country died in battle. Even the imperial advisor and the future ruler, Prince Ji Guang, died in battle. After this battle, although the Ji Country won a Pyrrhic victory, it also damaged its foundation. Most importantly, the remnants of the Dragon Country showed signs of gathering and plotting to restore their country. At this time, the rulers of other countries took advantage of the Ji Country's heavy losses to ally with other countries to cause trouble for the Ji Country. In a short period of time, the entire Tianyuan continent was covered in the clouds of war. This kind of war affected too many people, and it was destined that countless people would die. However, this had nothing to do with Gu Fei. At this time, Gu Fei had already arrived at the peak of the God of Heaven mountain and met the guardian of the mountain. The guardian of the God of Heaven mountain was an old man. This old man was actually a demigod. A demigod was a powerful existence that had already seen through the difficulties of life and death. They had an almost endless lifespan. In the eyes of the people of the Tianyuan continent, this kind of existence was already a god. The guardian of the God of Heaven mountain could not see through Gu Fei's strength. He did not want to offend Gu Fei, so he only exchanged a few words with Gu Fei before leaving. Gu Fei, on the other hand, walked onto the ancient teleportation array and sat down in the center of the teleportation array. Could this person really be able to open this teleportation formation? In the distance, in front of a hut, the old man sat next to a stone table. When he saw Gu Fei walk onto the platform, he could not help but feel doubtful. However, as the guardian of the God of Heaven mountain, the old man was also prideful. Judging from his young appearance, he should have already cultivated when he was young. However, in the entire Tianyuan continent, there were only a few demigods. The old man did not believe that this youth's cultivation was higher than his. Most importantly, the old man did not believe that Gu Fei could open this teleportation formation. After all, the old man did not have the teleportation sect. The old man was more or less shocked that someone with a cultivation no lower than his had suddenly appeared. Just like that, 7 days passed very quickly. At this time, a man and a horse arrived at the foot of the God of Heaven mountain. This person was wearing white clothes. From his clothes, this person should be a man. However, from his figure and appearance, he looked more like a woman. The white-clothed person was travel-worn. He rode a black horse and arrived before a mountain god temple at the foot of the God of Heaven mountain. The man looked at the sky and stopped in front of the mountain god temple. He dismounted and tied the black horse to a stone pillar beside the entrance of the mountain god temple. Then, he walked into the mountain god temple. This mountain god temple had been built for an unknown number of years. The inside was in tatters, and even the statue of the mountain god that was enshrined in the temple had fallen in half. The mountain god temple was not large and there was nothing extra inside. Only the stone tables in front of the statue could be considered to be in good condition. Originally, there were many humans living in the vicinity of the God of Heaven mountain. However, several hundred years ago, the God of Heaven mountain began to seal off the mountain. With the God of Heaven mountain as the center, there were very few people living within a radius of several thousand li. As a result, the mountain god temple was abandoned. 7 days. The white-clothed person came to the side of the stone table in front of the statue. He stretched out his hand and swept away the thick layer of dust on the stone bench before sitting down. From 10,000 kilometers away, I didn't stop and exhausted a few divine horses to death. Finally, I arrived here. The white-clothed person muttered to herself. Almost half of the time had passed, but she was not in a hurry. She wanted to adjust her body's condition and recover her strength in this mountain god temple. This white-clothed person was the cross-dressing Princess Yao Yu of the Dragon Country. Gu Fei only gave her half a month's time. If she didn't reach the summit of the sacred sky mountain within half a month, even if this Princess Yao Yu had the water elemental physique, he wouldn't accept her as a part of his map. If a master wanted to accept a disciple, he would not do so casually. And when a disciple accepted a master, he could not be careless. The master was choosing the disciple, but the disciple was also choosing the master. Chapter 1913. In the dark night, the sky was filled with stars. At the foot of the God of Heaven mountain, in front of an abandoned mountain god temple, there was a sudden gust of wind. Roar! A black tiger suddenly roared and pounced on a black horse beside the mountain god temple. Its claws tore open the horse's stomach, causing blood to splatter everywhere. With just a fierce pounce, the fierce beast threw a rare dark cloud warhorse to the ground. It tore open the warhorse's stomach and bit the warhorse's neck with its sharp teeth. This fierce beast had some intelligence. Even if Yao Yu's warhorse wasn't tied to the stone pillar, it wouldn't be able to escape from the three-eyed black tiger. This is bad. Yao Yu carefully retreated into the mountain god temple. However, she knew that the fierce beast had already noticed her. The fierce beast bit the warhorse's throat and drank the warhorse's hot blood. It didn't seem to notice Yao Yu in the mountain god temple at all. The three-eyed black tiger was extremely fierce. It didn't eat the warhorse's meat. It only drank the warhorse's hot blood because the warhorse's essence, qi, and spirit were all in the hot blood. It only drank blood and rarely ate the meat of its prey. Roar! The three-eyed black tiger roared and let go of the warhorse. At this time, the warhorse was still alive. It was panting and blood bubbles kept coming out of its mouth. The ferocious beast's green eyes scanned the interior of the mountain god temple. It sensed an aura that was even stronger than that of a warhorse. The three-eyed black tiger walked towards the mountain god temple step by step. Its footsteps were so light that Yao Yu couldn't even hear it. Looks like I can't avoid it. Yao Yu was a member of the royal family of Dragon Country. Naturally, she knew many fierce beasts. This three-eyed black tiger didn't have any special abilities, but it was good at sensing the aura of its prey. The three-eyed black tiger could sense the strength of its prey through its aura. Once it sensed that the prey's aura was much stronger than its own, the three-eyed black tiger would retreat. However, once it sensed that the prey's aura was weaker than its own, the three-eyed black tiger would immediately attack and drink its prey's hot blood. At this time, the three-eyed black tiger sensed that the aura in the mountain god temple wasn't stronger than its own. It didn't hesitate and directly walked into the mountain god temple. Shwa! Just as the three-eyed black tiger entered the mountain god temple, a dazzling sword light suddenly appeared, instantly illuminating the pitch-black void. This sudden bright light caused the three-eyed black tiger to involuntarily close its eyes. This was a natural reaction when its eyes were stimulated by the strong light. However, it was precisely this natural reaction that caused the three-eyed black tiger to fall into a trap. The sword light flashed and blood immediately splashed out from the three-eyed black tiger's body. If the tiger hadn't dodged, its head would have been cut off by Yao Yu's sword. Even so, Yao Yu's sword had left a very deep wound on the three-eyed black tiger's neck. Fresh blood flowed out. This was the difference between dire beasts and humans. Humans were intelligent, but dire beasts were far less intelligent than humans. Yao Yu's sudden sword strike was to use the resplendent sword light to stimulate the tiger's eyes, causing it to reveal a fatal flaw. Then she would kill it on the spot. However, Yao Yu's attack did not succeed. The three-eyed black tiger was not killed on the spot. It was only seriously injured. What a pity! Seeing the three-eyed black tiger desperately running out of the mountain god temple, Yao Yu couldn't help but feel that it was a pity. She didn't chase after it because it was more dangerous outside. The smell of blood could attract even more ferocious beasts. If there were 2 or 3 ferocious beasts like the three-eyed black tiger, she would be out of luck. Yao Yu thought for a moment, and then walked out of the mountain god temple. She jumped onto the roof of the mountain god temple and sat cross-legged on the roof. Sure enough, the roar of the escaping three-eyed black tiger could be heard from the forest in the distance. The forest shook as if a powerful ferocious beast had intercepted the three-eyed black tiger. Very quickly, the forest returned to its original calm. No one knew the result of that battle. Whether the three-eyed black tiger was eaten by an unknown ferocious beast, or whether the three-eyed black tiger ate the unknown ferocious beast, no one knew. None of this had anything to do with Yao Yu. She was waiting for daybreak. During that night, many ferocious beasts appeared near the mountain god temple. Yao Yu knew that these ferocious beasts were attracted by the blood of her war horse in front of the mountain god temple. The next day, at daybreak, Yao Yu jumped down from the roof of the mountain god temple. When she saw the corpse of the war horse next to the mountain god temple, she couldn't help but be startled. The only thing left of the war horse's corpse was a bloody skeleton. Yao Yu dug a hole in the empty space in front of the mountain god temple. Then, she placed the war horse's skeleton into the big hole and buried it. After doing this, Yao Yu set off towards the peak of the heavenly mountain under the sunlight of the morning sun. The heavenly mountain towered into the clouds. The higher one went, the steeper and steeper the terrain became. Some places were completely steep cliffs that were difficult to climb. Yao Yu rested for a night and recovered a lot of energy. When she started to climb the mountain, her speed was very fast. She constantly passed through the dense forest and the strange rocks. In less than half a day, she had already climbed halfway up the mountain. However, Yao Yu's speed greatly decreased. Some ferocious beasts began to appear on the heavenly mountain, and the terrain became more and more dangerous. When she passed through a cliff, a golden eagle swooped down from the sky and almost caught Yao Yu. Since the golden eagle's sneak attack failed, it flapped its wings and flew far away to avoid Yao Yu. She finally came. At this time, on the peak of the heavenly mountain, Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged in the center of the formation platform, suddenly opened his eyes. He sensed Yao Yu's aura and knew that she was heading towards the peak of the heavenly mountain. This little girl was indeed not bad. She had great willpower. Although he sensed that Yao Yu was in danger, Gu Fei didn't make a move. From start to finish, he was just a bystander. Even when Yao Yu almost lost her life several times, he still didn't move. Yao Yu's mind was incomparably firm. It was as if nothing could stop her. She unceasingly fought against the ferocious beasts on the mountain. This was the best way to accumulate combat experience. Kill! Yao Yu was at the bottom of a cliff. After a great battle, she finally killed a green wolf with one slash of her sword. There were countless ferocious beasts hiding on the heavenly mountain. Yao Yu killed her way up from the bottom. In the end, her hands were trembling, and she almost couldn't hold her sword anymore. Chapter 1914. Although the Tianyuan continent was not large and could not be compared to a real planet with life, there were indeed countless humans living here. In the mountains there were also countless vicious beasts. Especially the God of Heaven mountain. This was the sacred mountain in the eyes of the humans. The area around the god of heaven mountain was filled with spiritual energy, and the figures of vicious beasts could often be seen in the forest. To be called a vicious beast, it was definitely a very powerful beast. The foot of the god of heaven mountain, or even the top of the mountain, had vicious beasts. Of course, the vicious beasts all had a very strong sense of territory. The stronger the vicious beast, the larger the territory it occupied. As Yao Yu walked up the mountain, she encountered many vicious beasts. After many battles, she was finally not far from the peak of the god of heaven mountain. However, the vicious beasts she encountered this time were even stronger and more terrifying. Roar! With an earth-shattering roar, a black shadow pounced out of a cave. It was a ferocious ape covered in black fur. What? Yao Yu was shocked. She had just killed a large silver snake, but she had only walked a dozen miles, and now she encountered a vicious ape. This made her very surprised. At this moment, Yao Yu's white clothes were already stained with blood. The sword in her hand already had over a dozen nicks. The hand that held the sword had already split open and blood constantly seeped out. If she did not have a bottle of recovery pills on her, she probably would not have been able to hold on, and would have been eaten by the vicious beasts on the mountain. Roar! The vicious ape roared angrily at the sky. It pounded its fists in front of its chest, creating loud banging sounds. A baleful aura emanated from the vicious ape's body. Yao Yu felt the threat of the vicious ape. She had no choice but to be careful. She slowly raised the sword in her hand, and the tip of the sword was aimed at the vicious ape's throat. This kind of defense was very advantageous to Yao Yu because the area below the vicious ape's throat was within the attack range of her sword. She did not need to slice its throat. As long as she stabbed the ape's chest, it would be fatal. Swish! The ferocious ape suddenly leaped and pounced towards Yao Yu. A sharp claw was aimed at Yao Yu's chest at lightning speed. If Yao Yu was hit by this claw, her heart would be ripped out. Seeing this, Yao Yu couldn't help but be startled. It could be seen that this fierce ape had definitely done this kind of thing many times. The ape's grasp was incomparably skillful. Evil creature! Yao Yu let out a low roar. Her feet touched the ground and she retreated like a phantom. The ape's claw only caught Yao Yu's afterimage. Shwa! Yao Yu stopped her retreat in an instant and rushed forward. She stabbed her sword towards the fierce ape. The long sword in her hand turned into a cold light that enveloped the vital parts of the fierce ape below its throat. The martial skills of the Tianyuan continent were still at the most primitive stage. The martial artists of the Tianyuan continent could only cultivate inner qi. After that, it was difficult for them to advance any further. Yao Yu's foundation was not bad. These few movements were incomparably fast. Moreover, her attack was fast, ruthless, and accurate. If it was a normal beast, this sword of hers could pierce 2 holes. However, this fierce ape was not a normal beast. Moreover, this fierce ape was not stupid. When the fierce ape saw the dazzling sword light, it immediately retreated. However, even so, this fierce ape was still swept by Yao Yu's sword light. What? At the moment when the long sword in Yao Yu's hand swept the fierce ape, she felt that the long sword in her hand seemed to have swept a stone. The recoil made her hand that held the sword tremble in pain. Yao Yu knew that the long sword in her hand could not pierce the fierce ape's body at all. She could not hurt this fierce ape. A small clump of black fur floated down from the air. Yao Yu's sword could only cut off some of the fierce ape's fur. It was difficult to cause any damage to the fierce ape. Oh no! Yao Yu's shock was no small matter. Roar! The fierce ape roared and pounced towards Yao Yu again. This time, the fierce ape was no longer afraid of the long sword in Yao Yu's hand. It directly pounced over. At this time, on the ancient array platform at the peak of the sacred heaven mountain, 2 figures were standing. Brother Gu, do you really want to watch this girl die under the sharp claws of this fierce beast? The old man said. The moment Yao Yu came up the mountain, the old man had already sensed her arrival. The old man originally wanted to send this girl down the mountain, but he was stopped by Gu Fei. This is her fate, Gu Fei said. Since this girl was able to ascend the sacred heaven mountain, she was his disciple. If she died under the sharp claws of this fierce beast, it could only be said that it was her fate. Brother Gu, your method of accepting disciples is really unique. The old man couldn't help but shake his head. He could see that this girl's physique was not bad. Even he was a little moved. However, since this was someone that Gu Fei had his eyes on, he was too embarrassed to fight with Gu Fei over her. Only those with great perseverance can inherit my lineage. If she can't even endure a little hardship, how could she be qualified to be my disciple? Gu Fei said. No one could casually succeed. In order to become an expert, one must first put in effort. Moreover, one must put in more effort than others. That's reasonable. The old man couldn't help but nod. How could becoming an expert be an easy task? He had cultivated his entire life and experienced countless life and death situations to reach his current cultivation base. The roars of the ferocious ape were constantly heard. Although they were still a distance away from the summit, Gu Fei and the others could already hear the roars of the ferocious ape. We're almost at the peak, I can't fail at the last step. Yao Yu's entire body was incomparably tired, but she still persisted. Her eyes were incomparably bright. She used her movement technique to fight the fierce ape, avoiding a direct confrontation. However, the fierce ape was extremely agile and fast, forcing Yao Yu into a dangerous situation. Several times, she was almost pushed down the mountain by the ape. After fighting for a while, Yao Yu's body suddenly swayed as if she had stepped on a rock, causing her to reveal a fatal flaw. Swish! The ferocious ape took advantage of this opportunity to swipe its right hand at Yao Yu's waist. A few bloody marks appeared on Yao Yu's waist, and the places where the claws struck were badly mangled. She groaned in pain. The tip of the sword in her hand turned into an electric light that shot straight at the fierce ape's right eye. Pfft! With a light sound, the long sword in Yao Yu's hand pierced through the ape's right eye. The long sword pierced through the ape's brain, killing it instantly. It fell to the ground and twitched a few times before becoming motionless. Yao Yu relied on her wit to defeat the fierce ape. At this time, she was completely exhausted. Her body swayed a few times before she sat down on the ground, gasping for breath. Chapter 19:15. After Yao Yu killed the ape, she was so tired that she almost collapsed. She fell to the ground and put down the long sword in her hand. Then, she took out a jade bottle. It was a bottle of chi replenishing pills. It was a type of pill refined by Dragon Country's alchemists using dozens of chi replenishing herbs. Yao Yu had persisted until now with this bottle of pills. Yao Yu poured out a pale golden pill from the jade bottle. This is the last one. Yao Yu sighed. Then, she swallowed the pill in her hand and threw away the empty jade bottle. After taking the chi replenishing pill, Yao Yu felt a wave of heat spread out from her dantian and gradually spread to her entire body. Yao Yu, who was already extremely tired, felt the strength in her body gradually condense. She felt more spirited and not as tired as before. The effects of the chi replenishing pill were immediate. Yao Yu's strength gradually increased. Even the blood in her body gradually became stronger. When the medicinal effects of the chi replenishing pill completely dissolved, Yao Yu's exhausted essence chi was almost completely restored. This method of using pills to stimulate one's own potential was not a good method. Yao Yu had already taken many chi replenishing pills, which left behind side effects in her body. One's essence chi was limited. Overconsumption of one's essence chi would harm one's foundation. Even if Yao Yu could reach the peak, if Gu Fei did not help her recuperate, she would fall seriously ill. If it was serious, her lifespan would be affected. After an hour, Yao Yu stood up from the ground. This girl is not bad. On the ancient arrayed platform at the peak of Divine Heaven Mountain, the old man could not help but secretly nod. This girl's temperament was incomparably firm. Moreover, her reaction was quick. When facing an enemy, she could win by surprise. This might be a kind of innate instinct. Gu Fei did not speak. This Yao Yu was not bad. With such a temperament, she could indeed be his disciple. On the path of martial arts, the most important thing was temperament. This was because cultivating on the path of martial arts was really difficult and difficult. It was very difficult to succeed. It was not like the immortal Tao, where one could progress step by step. If one followed the prescribed order, one could at least reach the realm of flight. After the fierce ape was killed by Yao Yu, no other fierce beasts appeared. This fierce ape should be the beast king of this region. In the fierce ape's territory, no fierce beasts could be allowed to occupy it. Yao Yu picked up the long sword that had more than 10 cuts on its blade and continued to climb up the mountain. She would not give up. Yao Yu did not encounter any more vicious beasts from the ape's territory to the peak of the mountain. When she reached the peak of the God of Heaven mountain, her clothes were already in tatters, and the bloodstains on them had already turned black. The old man was almost driven mad. TTT-. The old man arrived before the formation platform and his voice began to tremble. He seemed to have lost an opportunity to leave the God of Heaven mountain, and he had missed it. How detestable! The old man roared sorrowfully at the sky. At this moment, Gu Fei was in the process of teleportation. After who knew how long, the presence of the outside world appeared again. He had arrived in a deathly silent region. This is... Gu Fei took out the star chart and looked around carefully. He finally found his location. Here, he sensed a vast aura. He found himself in an ancestral planet with life. This ancestral planet was called Buzhou. The teleportation formation on the Tianyuan continent had deviated, and it had actually sent him into outer space. After flying in the starry sky for a while, he saw a green star in front of him. A vigorous life aura came from that star. The planet of Buzhou definitely had produced an extreme path sovereign before, as more than one imprint of the great path sovereign had appeared here. A wave of Tao energy broke through the power of reincarnation, as if it had opened up an impenetrable world, blocking the terrifying power of reincarnation. What? The black-robed middle-aged man was extremely shocked. You really are the reincarnation of Buddha, the black-clothed middle-aged man said. The reincarnation of Buddha. Gu Fei's heart trembled when he heard that. One must know that the only person who could be addressed as a Buddha in this world was the ancient Buddha master. Could the ancient Buddhist Lord be the reincarnation of Buddha? The background of the ancient Buddhist Lord was simply too great. His name was known throughout the ages. Furthermore, the ancient Buddhist Lord had great willpower and wisdom. He actually wanted to establish the 6 paths of reincarnation with his own power. Even though he did not succeed in the end, the merit he gained was enough to shock the world. The Buddha is the Buddha, and I am me. I am Bulyozhin. A golden figure walked out from the black hole of reincarnation. With every step, a divine flower bloomed. The figure emitted a golden Buddhist light. With every step he took, a golden divine flower bloomed beneath his feet. A peaceful aura spread out from the golden figure. It's the power of Buddhism. Gu Fei's eyes widened when he sensed this power. There must be an inheritance left behind by the ancient Buddhist Lord on Buzhou ancestral star. One thought, blooming flowers. Bulyozhin's face was calm. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed a supreme technique of Buddhism. Countless golden divine flowers shot out from his fingertips and flew towards the black-robed middle-aged man. It looked peaceful, but only those who were in it would know how dangerous it was. Thousands of divine flowers danced in the air, each containing a terrifying Buddhist power. Whoosh! At this moment, a vertical eye suddenly appeared on the black-robed middle-aged man's forehead. The vertical eye opened and closed, shooting out rays of purple divine light. The golden flowers exploded in the air, all hit by the purple divine light. You are a monster! Bulyozhin's face flashed with shock. A powerful wave of demonic energy surged out from the vertical eye on the black-robed middle-aged man's forehead. Buddhas and monsters have always been enemies. The purpose of Buddhism is to subdue demons and subdue monsters. Seeing that the middle-aged man had broken his one thought, Bulyozhin put his palms together and sat cross-legged in the air, chanting a Buddhist mantra. As soon as the mantra came out, the entire world resonated. Endless auspicious Buddhist light spread out from Bulyozhin's body. Golden lotuses sprouted from the ground and auspicious lights descended from the sky. It was as if a Buddhist land had been created. Roar! The black-robed middle-aged man suffered a great impact. His spirit soul was shaken and his demonic energy was showing signs of losing control. Chapter 1917. You really are the reincarnation of Buddha. Gu Fei looked at Bulyozhin and asked the question he was most interested in. Although this Bulyozhin had learned some Buddhist arts, he was still dressed like a layman. He wore white clothes and wasn't bald. I am me, Bulyozhin said calmly. You really look like those baldies. If you cut off your hair and put on a kasaya, you'd definitely be an enlightened monk, Gu Fei said. He really didn't want to associate with Buddhist experts. After all, he had offended all of them back in Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. You flatter me. I've never thought of becoming a monk, Bulyozhin said. What? Gu Fei was startled. This guy had learned some Buddhist arts, but he said he didn't want to become a monk? What was going on? Was he not the reincarnation of Buddha? In Buddhism, there was a saying about reincarnation. When a flower withered, there would definitely be another flower blooming in another place. If Buddha had truly reached nirvana, then his reincarnation would appear after countless years. All Buddhists believed in this karma. You're not from Buzhou Ancestral Star. You're from another planet, Bulyozhin suddenly said. How did you know? Gu Fei looked at Bulyozhin curiously. How did this guy know that he came from another planet? I guessed, Bulyozhin said. Guessed. Gu Fei was surprised. He didn't expect this answer. Guessed? Was this even possible? I really guessed. Bulyozhin's eyes were clear. He wasn't lying. You guessed it right. Gu Fei wasn't happy at all. Instead, his expression became solemn. This Bulyozhin wasn't simple. He must have seen something from him. However, Gu Fei didn't mind if the other didn't say anything. Brother, where are you from? Bulyozhin asked. He had never left the Buzhou Ancestral Star, but his family had kept information about other ancestral stars with life. However, due to the great distance between the ancestral planets, ordinary cultivators would not be able to traverse the endless starry sky. Gu Fei was an example. Even someone as powerful as him was lost in the endless starry sky. Soaring Dragon. Gu Fei did not hide it, and there was no need for him to do so. The Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star and Buzhou Ancestral Star were too far apart, and no one could travel between the two unless they had the star chart. Even if one had a star chart, no one would be willing to make a long and arduous journey to an unfamiliar place. He's from the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. Bulyozhin was startled. The Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star wasn't simple. It had produced an extreme sovereign, and such an ancestral star was bound to be extraordinary. You seem to know a lot of things. Gu Fei looked at Bulyozhin and said. Obviously, Bulyozhin knew about the existence of the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, but did he know about the existence of other ancestral stars? It's just an encyclopedic knowledge. If you want to travel around Buzhou Ancestral Star, I can be your tour guide, Bulyozhin said. Thank you for your kindness, but I appreciate it. Gu Fei didn't accept. He didn't want to bring someone he didn't know with him, especially someone who cultivated a Buddhist technique. Gu Fei was very concerned about the reincarnation of Buddha. What a pity. Brother, what is your name? Can you tell me? Bulyozhin wanted to befriend Gu Fei, but the latter didn't want to. Gu Fei. See you again. After saying that, Gu Fei directly soared into the sky. Using the 8 desolate void steps, he instantly disappeared into the distance. Gu Fei. Bulyozhin looked at Gu Fei disappearing into the horizon and murmured. How did Gu Fei come to Buzhou Ancestral Star from the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star? Then Bulyozhin left the mountain range. After parting ways with Bulyozhin, Gu Fei flew towards the area with the most life force. The first thing he needed to do now was to find out about the cultivation world of Buzhou Ancestral Star. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Gu Fei finally found a town. It was a town built entirely with rocks. What shocked Gu Fei was that he could sense the people in the town had the aura of a cultivator. In other words, most of the people in the town knew how to cultivate. Without any hesitation, he entered the small town. There weren't many people in the town, but cultivators could be seen coming and going from time to time. Gu Fei captured one of the cultivators and read the cultivator's memory. He learned many things. There was a great era in Buzhou ancestral star. Countless cultivators' cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Some even broke through a few cultivation realms. In such a great era, mortals were like ants. Only the strong could survive. A great era. Gu Fei let the cultivator go and left the town. Buzhou ancestral star also welcomed a great era. Many experts emerged and countless people set foot on the path to becoming a saint. In this great era, there might really be an opportunity to become a saint. The reason why these cultivators appeared in the town was because there was a treasure light in the depths of the mountain range. Some people even saw a divine item. Another treasure. Gu Fei was pleasantly surprised. He headed straight for the area where the treasure light had appeared. There were many dangers in the depths of the mountain, but with Gu Fei's current cultivation, he was not afraid of anything. Even if there was a beast king hiding somewhere, he would still be safe. Gu Fei searched carefully, but it was still daytime. There was no treasure light. This is the land of the trapped dragon. This was the conclusion Gu Fei came to after studying the surrounding mountains. The land of the trapped dragon was not an ordinary place. It was a dangerous place. Who would want to attract countless cultivators to such a dangerous place? Gu Fei didn't know. He didn't want to enter that dangerous place. The dragon vein under the ground was trapped there. No one knew what was set up inside. It was the first time Gu Fei had seen a place that could trap the dragon vein. No one knew if it was a natural formation or if someone had deliberately set it up. At that moment, there were people walking around. Some cultivators had already found their way over. It was a team of cultivators, a total of 8 cultivators. Every one of them revealed looks of exhaustion, and some of their clothes were soaked with sweat. Gu Fei didn't come out. He stood in a forest. Chapter 1918. The land of the trapped dragon was filled with dragon chi. Those with poor eyesight would mistake this terrain as the land of the hidden dragon. The leader of the 8 cultivators was a skinny old man. His right eye was blind, and there was only a hole left where his pupil used to be. There were also 3 scratches on the right side of the old man's face. The scratches extended from his forehead to his chin, making him look extremely hideous. "Master Mu, how far are we from the tomb?" A bearded man couldn't help but ask as they were traversing through the forest. They had been following this so-called Master Mu in the Violet Cloud Mountain Range for almost half a year. He had entered the Violet Cloud Mountain Range in search of the tomb of a supreme existence. This supreme existence was the legendary Purple Cloud Sovereign. The Purple Cloud Sovereign was a legend in the ancestral star of Buzhou. In ancient times, this supreme once unified the entire ancestral star of Buzhou with his own strength and became the revered emperor, the emperor of the supremes. Therefore, the Purple Cloud Sovereign was also known as the Purple Cloud Sovereign. The Purple Cloud Sovereign established the Immortal Court. In the distant past, the Immortal Court was incomparably glorious. The Purple Cloud Sovereign's territory even expanded to another ancestral star. However, although the Immortal Court was extremely glorious, it eventually fell apart. Legend had it that the Purple Cloud Sovereign had fallen, and his supreme divine body was buried in the Violet Cloud Mountain Range. Of course, this was only a legend. No one knew whether it was true or not. A tomb. Gu Fei was stunned when he heard the bearded man's words. Could the land of the trapped dragon be a tomb? It's not far away. It should be nearby. The one-eyed old man carefully observed the surrounding terrain and said with a solemn expression, "It should be nearby." Everyone was surprised and delighted when they heard this. They knew that the tomb wasn't that easy to break through. It was the legendary burial place of the Purple Cloud Sovereign. The Purple Cloud Sovereign was one of the strongest existences in the ancestral star of Buzhou. How could his tomb be so easy to break through? However, only with danger would there be opportunities. Throughout the years, countless people had searched for the Violet Cloud Supremacy's burial ground in hopes of obtaining his inheritance. However, no one had ever heard of anyone obtaining the inheritance of the Purple Cloud Supreme Being. Actually, it was a coincidence that they managed to find this place. That one-eyed old man was a geomaster. He was most skilled at chi viewing, helping people find spirit caves and dragon veins. Master Mu had obtained a map from the ruins of an ancient immortal court, which led to his trip to the Amethyst Mountain Range. As a geomaster, the one-eyed old man had many friends. Based on their team's strength, they might not even be able to enter the Great Tomb. They would probably die outside. The land of the hidden dragon, the Paragon's tomb. Interesting. Gu Fei, who was hiding at the side, heard the conversation between the one-eyed old man and the others. He roughly knew what was going on. He knew that it was impossible for the Purple Cloud Supreme to be buried in the land of the hidden dragon. However, the land of the hidden dragon might really be a tomb. However, the one-eyed old man had good eyesight. Although he couldn't tell that it was a land of the hidden dragon, he could tell that there was danger ahead. Grandmaster Mu, what should we do? Everyone was following the one-eyed old man's lead. I'm afraid that the land of the hidden dragon has turned into a dangerous place. The one-eyed old man said these words. What? Everyone was shocked when they heard that. They had wandered around the Amethyst Mountain Range for more than half a year. They had gone through a lot of hardships to find the legendary Paragon's tomb. In the end, this was the result. Everyone could see the one-eyed old man's hesitation. The one-eyed old man was the most famous geomaster in the Amethyst City in the south of the ancestral planet. If even he wanted to retreat, then the others wouldn't dare to enter the dangerous place. Grandmaster Mu. The bearded man wanted to say something but stopped. If you want to live, retreat. If you enter, you will definitely die. Chapter 1919. The one-eyed old man couldn't tell that the terrain ahead was a land of trapped dragons, but he could tell that it had already turned into a land of great danger. If one barged into that kind of terrain, it wouldn't just be a slim chance of survival. However, no one was willing to retreat just like that. They had worked hard for half a year to find this place. Who would be willing to retreat just like that? Even the one-eyed old man was unwilling. However, so what if they were unwilling? They knew that it was a dead end ahead, but they still had to barge in. Sigh, I'm going to retreat. Life is all that matters. If I die, everything will be for naught. The one-eyed old man chose to retreat in the end. He wasn't confident in barging into that land of danger. If his cultivation had broken through to the immortal god realm, he might have some confidence. But now, he could only choose to retreat. Master Mu Yu. As the initiator of this operation, the one-eyed old man actually wanted to retreat. This shocked everyone. If the one-eyed old man retreated, then they would have even less confidence. One must know that this Master Mu was a geomaster. Geomasters were best at finding dragons and sealing occupants. With a geomaster around, even if they were in a land of great danger, they would still be able to turn misfortune into fortune and not be devoured by the danger. However, this time around, even Master Mu did not dare to recklessly barge into this dangerous place. Everyone wants to obtain the sovereign's divine treasure, but life is equally precious. The one-eyed old man said these words. When Gu Fei, who was hidden at the side, heard the one-eyed old man's words, he couldn't help but nod his head. This old man was actually able to resist the temptation of the sovereign's divine treasure. This was a person with an incomparably firm will. Master Mu, do you want to reconsider? Someone didn't give up. There's no need to. The one-eyed old man shook his head and turned to leave. Everyone on the mountain was dumbfounded when they saw this. The legendary sovereign's tomb was right in front of them, but the geomaster they could rely on had left. Someone almost went crazy. What the hell is going on? The shorty stomped his foot anxiously. When Gu Fei saw this scene, he couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that there were very few people who could resist the temptation of the sovereign's divine treasure. I don't believe it! As the bearded man spoke, he immediately rushed down from the top of the mountain. You! Everyone was shocked. As the one-eyed old man was walking back, a shrill scream came from behind him, causing him to immediately stop. However, he did not turn around. I was the one who harmed them. The old man let out a long sigh and continued to walk back the way he came. He wanted to leave this place that was filled with fatal temptation as soon as possible. He was afraid that he would not be able to resist. The temptation of the sovereign divine treasury was too great. This person's willpower is much stronger than ordinary people. Gu Fei hid at the side and saw everything. The one-eyed old man's willpower was very strong, and he could resist the temptation of the sovereign divine treasure. This was a man of great perseverance. However, it was a pity that this old man was not the five elements martial physique that Gu Fei wanted to cultivate. Otherwise, he could consider taking this old man as a disciple. Soon, a second scream was heard. They really don't care about their lives for the sovereign divine treasury. Gu Fei shook his head. He did not stop those people. Since those people knew that it was a dead end and wanted to go in anyway, there was no need to stop them. What exactly is trapped in the land of the sleeping dragon? Vaguely, Gu Fei seemed to hear the sound of iron chains clashing. None of the 7 people were spared. They all fell into the land of the sleeping dragon, and the odds were against them. All of this had nothing to do with Gu Fei. He walked out of the dark and came to the mountain where the one-eyed old man and the others were. He looked at the land of the sleeping dragon in front of him. A huge figure disappeared into the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon. That is... Gu Fei was shocked. How could such a being appear here? Could it be that the thing trapped in the land of the sleeping dragon was really the corpse of an ancient supreme being? Even with his level of cultivation, he could not see through this trap. 7 cultivators fell into it, one after another. This made Gu Fei have to be careful. What kind of terrifying danger lay in the dangerous land ahead? Humph! Gu Fei rushed down from the mountain. He had been in contact with the real tomb of a supreme being. There was no need for him to be afraid of a fake one. Whoosh! Just as Gu Fei stepped into the dangerous land, a beam of divine light suddenly appeared in front of him without warning. It swept towards Gu Fei's waist. Even Gu Fei would have been injured if he had been hit by that beam of divine light. No wonder those people went silent so quickly. They must have died in there. Gu Fei used the speed of 8 steps and rushed into the sky. He dodged the beam of divine light and continued forward. Bang! As he was walking, a muffled sound came from the ground. Then, the entire dangerous land seemed to have been turned over. It seemed that something was trapped in the depths of the earth. Gu Fei knew very well that it could not have been the tomb of a supreme being. However, the aura under the ground made him feel uneasy. Boom! When Gu Fei walked past the cliff, the top of the cliff suddenly exploded. Endless amounts of sand and rocks came crashing down on Gu Fei. Bang! Gu Fei stretched out his right hand and pressed upwards. All the sand and rocks that were crashing down on him disappeared. They were scattered by his palm. Whoosh! Just as Gu Fei scattered the rocks and mud, the ground in front of him suddenly cracked open. An evil aura seeped out from the cracks. That is, there was something in the cracks. Gu Fei activated his martial path Heavenly Eye. What he saw gave him a huge fright. Within the cracks, there were actually many coffins. Gu Fei did not expect it to be like this. The coffins floated in the cracks on the ground, as though they were devouring the chaotic chi around them. Trying to be mysterious, Gu Fei refused to believe it. He unleashed his full potential and cultivation base. After that, he slammed out with his palm once more, causing the space in front of his palm to collapse. Boom! With a loud sound, Gu Fei's palms slammed into the cracks on the ground. The ferocious force directly destroyed a few coffins. Some corpses even fell out from the coffins. The person buried in the depths of the earth was definitely not an ordinary person. Roar! A furious roar rang out from the ground. The entire ground shook along with the roar. That terrifying existence that was trapped in the formation was about to break free. Chapter 1920. The land of the sleeping dragon had indeed trapped an extremely powerful being. Countless living beings were buried under this area, and endless death chi was gathered there. It was no wonder that the 7 cultivators who entered this place were met with a calamity. Even when Gu Fei came in person, he felt a great pressure. Roar! A huge shadow loomed over the area, surrounded by death chi. It was as terrifying as the Grim Reaper from hell. Cracks continued to appear on the ground, and chaos chi surged. There were stone coffins buried in the cracks, and there was a strong evil aura coming from those stone coffins. This really is the land of the sleeping dragon. Gu Fei felt a little uneasy. This place did not seem to be as simple as the land of the sleeping dragon. It was more like a place for raising corpses with the dragon chi of the earth. Such a move was a little scary. Bang! Just as Gu Fei was approaching the depths of the area, the lids of a few stone coffins suddenly flew up from the chaos cracks. 3 shadows rushed out from the stone coffins. This is... Upon seeing this, Gu Fei's eyes couldn't help narrowing. 3 powerful death chi spread out. They were 3 powerful corpses that were shrouded in corpse chi, as if they were devils that had rushed out from hell. Swoosh! The 3 evil corpses pounced at Gu Fei. The 3 evil corpses all stretched their arms forward. When they moved, they did not move their joints. Zombies! Gu Fei noticed this detail and his heart couldn't help but tremble. Bang! Gu Fei threw a punch with his right hand, sending a charging zombie flying. However, the zombie's body did not explode. What a strong zombie body! Gu Fei was a little surprised. The power of his punch could even shatter a half-sacred divine weapon. Could the body of this zombie be even harder than a half-sacred divine weapon? At that moment, the corpse chi arrived. The other 2 zombies had already rushed over, and their skinny and sharp claws scratched at Gu Fei. Humph! Gu Fei did not dodge. Instead, he threw another punch. A powerful fist force spread out from his fist, and the void in front of him produced ripples that could be seen with the naked eye. Bang! With a muffled sound, the 2 zombies were sent flying by Gu Fei's punch. When Gu Fei saw that these 2 zombies still hadn't been blasted apart by a single punch from him, it caused him to be inexplicably surprised. These zombies' bodies were definitely tougher than half-saint divine weapons. Gu Fei had already used 50% of his strength in this punch. He was a peak half-step saint, and he possessed 50% of the strength of a half-step saint in the martial Dao. He could even blast a mountain apart with a single punch, and even a divine weapon of a half-step saint would probably be shattered by his punch. Deep roars came from the mouths of the 3 zombies that were sent flying by Gu Fei. At the same time, a figure sat up from the stone coffin. It was a middle-aged man dressed in black. His face was incomparably pale, and he had a pair of normal eyes. However, his eyes lacked a kind of vitality. "Retreat quickly, or else you'll die here." A wave of divine sense came from the middle-aged man in the stone coffin. Then, a voice directly rang in Gu Fei's mind. Gu Fei's shock was no small matter. This zombie was not as simple as it seemed. After being shocked, it had developed a complete consciousness. To be precise, this middle-aged man was already a living being that had been reborn from the dead. Humph! Gu Fei snorted coldly. He didn't retreat. Instead, he calmly looked at the middle-aged man in the stone coffin. "You're courting death. You can't blame anyone else." In the next moment, the middle-aged man directly shot up from the stone coffin. Like a huge bird, he swooped down towards Gu Fei at an extremely fast speed. This middle-aged man's joints were no longer stiff. He was actually no different from an ordinary person. Zombie King! Chapter 1921. The middle-aged man was incomparably powerful. He was one of the strongest existences that Gu Fei had ever encountered. Boom! The middle-aged man directly pounced down from the sky. The powerful force caused the space around him to crack and then collapse. It was incomparably terrifying. Gu Fei immediately dodged and was not hit by the middle-aged man. "Eat my fist!" Gu Fei began to counterattack. His right fist seemed to have struck out casually, but the air immediately vibrated and ripples visible to the naked eye spread out from his fist. And the middle-aged man seemed to feel danger when he saw Gu Fei's fist. He didn't receive Gu Fei's fist, but instead took a step to the side, dodging Gu Fei's fist. At the same time, his right hand was like a blade, chopping towards Gu Fei's ribs. Close-range combat technique. Gu Fei couldn't help but be surprised when he saw the middle-aged man approaching him. This was a martial arts close-range combat technique. Once the opponent got close, he would have to endure the continuous attacks of the martial artist. If this kind of combat technique was used against others, they would definitely be flustered. But in front of Gu Fei, this kind of combat technique couldn't gain any advantage. Bang! Gu Fei changed his move with his right fist and collided head-on with the middle-aged man's chop. At the moment when Gu Fei's fist collided with the middle-aged man's hand blade, the two of them attacked one after another. The speed of their hands was so fast that even their shadows couldn't be seen. Bang! 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 Concentrated sounds of collision rang out. Gu Fei and the Undead King began an incomparably dangerous close-range combat. In just a few breaths' time, Gu Fei's fist had collided with the Undead King's hand blade no less than 1,000 times. Pfft. In the end, Gu Fei's fist landed on the Undead King's abdomen. However, this punch gave Gu Fei the feeling that he had hit a sandbag. It was a little weak. Bang! At the same time, the Zombie King slashed at Gu Fei's waist with his hand. The violent force sent Gu Fei flying hundreds of meters away. The clothes on his waist exploded, revealing the skin underneath. As for the Zombie King, he was also sent flying by Gu Fei's punch. The clothes on his chest and abdomen were also torn into rags, floating in the air. A fist mark appeared on his chest and abdomen. Gu Fei did not feel good after receiving the Zombie King's hand blade. The muscles on his waist had sunk in, and had already injured his muscles and bones. However, such an injury was nothing to Gu Fei. In just an instant, the force on his waist had completely recovered. Good heavens! Gu Fei noticed that the Zombie King's injuries had also recovered. This kind of recovery speed was almost on par with his own martial body. It was truly terrifying. "You are a warrior!" a voice sounded in Gu Fei's heart. The Zombie King was also incomparably shocked. He was the emperor of the countless zombies here, and his zombie body was incomparably powerful. Over the countless years, countless experts had died in his hands. However, today, he had actually met someone who could fight him in close combat, and was even on par with him. "I'm afraid you were also a warrior in your previous life." Gu Fei looked at the Zombie King and said indifferently. The Zombie King was too strong. This was the first time he had met an existence that could fight with him in close combat. One had to know that during the duel, the other cultivators did not dare to let him get close. Once he got close, those people would die. My previous life. The Zombie King obviously did not remember his previous life. This kind of unique life form that was born from death would not remember anything about his previous life. This was because this was a completely new life, a new life. Unless he was like He Tian and cultivated some kind of heaven-defying cultivation technique, in the cycle of reincarnation, his soul would not be destroyed, and only then would he be able to retain a portion of his memories from his previous life. "What on earth is buried here?" Gu Fei asked. This is the Master's place. You should leave quickly." Hearing this, the Zombie King was stunned for a moment, then said such words. "What?" After hearing the Zombie King's words, Gu Fei could not help but be incomparably shocked. There was actually an incomparably powerful existence behind the Zombie King. To him, this was not a good thing. This Zombie King was already able to compete with him. If the master behind the Zombie King came out, he was afraid that he would really have to give up his life here. Gu Fei felt danger. Clang! The sound of the iron chains colliding was heard again, and a dull roar came from the ground. The entire area shook, and countless cracks appeared on the ground. A few auras that were not weaker than the Zombie King exploded. Gu Fei retreated. He had no choice but to leave. This place was very strange. It was unknown how many stone coffins were buried underground. Someone had used an unparalleled great technique to arrange all of this. However, Gu Fei could be sure that, although there was a super big tomb there, the master of the tomb was definitely not the Purple Cloud Supreme. The Supreme Tomb would not be like this. If there was really a Supreme buried there, a wisp of the aura released from the Supreme's corpse would not be something that Gu Fei could withstand. Even saints would probably find it difficult to get close to the Supreme's corpse. Gu Fei retreated from the land of the sleeping dragon, but he did not leave. Instead, he found a cave outside the land of the sleeping dragon and temporarily stayed there. Then, on the second day, he barged into the land of the sleeping dragon again and fought with the Zombie King. When the other powerful existences in the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon were about to come out, he retreated again. Roar! Angry roars were heard from the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon. The aura of death spread in all directions, causing the living creatures in the area to feel great danger. They all fled far away from the area. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, Gu Fei barged into the land of the sleeping dragon every day, provoking the terrifying existence in the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon to roar again and again. The sound of the iron chains colliding could be heard far away. However, Gu Fei had calculated that the existence in the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon could not come out, so he challenged the powerful subordinates of that existence every day. The combat power of the Zombie King was undoubtedly powerful. The Zombie King had a body that was close to immortality. Even Gu Fei could not completely suppress it. Apart from the Zombie King, there were 3 other powerful existences in the land of the sleeping dragon. They were a burning corpse, a dragon corpse, and the corpse of an ape that shone with golden light. The burning corpse was formed after a fire elemental living creature died. Once the burning corpse appeared, the land within 1,000 miles would turn red. Its divine fire could burn everything. As for the dragon corpse, it was formed after a real 9 heavens real dragon died. It had regained its spiritual intelligence, and was extremely powerful. The appearance of the golden ape shocked Gu Fei to the extreme. That was because the golden ape looked exactly like the golden spiritual ape in the heaven realm. At first glance, Gu Fei thought that the Monkey King had appeared there. Chapter 1922. The land of the trapped dragon was not as simple as it seemed. The existence deep underground was actually guarded by 4 great undying experts. Each of the 4 great undying experts had the combat power to fight against Gu Fei. In other words, these 4 great undying experts could easily kill half-saints. Even if a demi-saint came here, they would also be in danger of dying here. Although such a place was very dangerous, it was a place for Gu Fei to gain experience. He entered this dangerous place almost every day and fought with the Zombie King, the Fire Corpse, the Dragon Corpse, and the Golden Essence Corpse Ape. Gu Fei returned injured every time. However, the next day, he would go back to the land of the trapped dragon energetically after a night of recovery. Half a month later, the number of times Gu Fei entered the land of the trapped dragon began to decrease. Sometimes, he would not go in even once every few days. Proving one's martial way in battles and transforming and sublimating oneself in life and death battles was a shortcut for martial artists. Lingering between life and death was the easiest way to stimulate a martial artist's potential. Over the past half a month, Gu Fei had been constantly comprehending his own way and perfecting his combat skills. The potential in his body had been stimulated bit by bit. His martial body had become more powerful, and he could hold more and more martial way true force. The 9 Tao runes of primal chaos were still evolving on his body. However, the traces of the 9 Tao runes were still very blurry and dim. It was difficult for them to become clear. Even with the cultivation of the 9th heaven of half-saint, it was still difficult for him to truly comprehend the 9 Tao runes that belonged to him. However, although the Tao runes of primal chaos were blurry, they began to emit the aura of the divine way. This caused Gu Fei's entire aura to gradually change. During this time, Gu Fei had been constantly evolving the Fist of Primal Chaos. He rarely had the time to truly evolve the martial way combat skills that he had created. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One had to know that with Gu Fei's current cultivation and combat power, it was very difficult to find an opponent who was truly on par with him. However, there were 4 such opponents at the moment. The origins of these 4 opponents must be very great. The Zombie King should be an unparalleled ancient martial body. After his death, he was buried in the land of the trapped dragon. After countless years, he regained his intelligence and became the Zombie King. That fire corpse was not a human, but a fire spirit born from heaven and earth. This fire spirit had also perished and was buried here. The 9 true dragons were the true rulers of the dragon race. They even had the bloodline of the dragon ancestor. In ancient times, such an existence was definitely an invincible overlord. But the one that Gu Fei saw through was the Golden Essence Corpse Ape. In the 3 realms and 6 paths, the Golden Spiritual Ape clan was extremely rare. Even in the Heaven realm, the only known Golden Spiritual Ape was the only descendant of the Paragon Divine Ape. The Golden Spirit Corpse Apes that appeared in the land of the Trapped Dragon should be the clansmen of the Golden Spirit Ape Yuan Hong. Among the 4 undying experts, the Zombie King was not the strongest. The strongest was the Golden Essence Corpse Ape. In the cave, Gu Fei sat with his legs crossed. His body was surrounded by chaotic true power, and there was a thunderous sound coming from his body. The qi and blood in his body kept scouring his muscles, bones, and flesh. The sound of qi and blood flowing made a terrifying sound. Gu Fei's muscles, bones, and flesh were constantly being refined by the qi and blood, gradually becoming stronger. However, it was still a long time before his martial body would transform again. He was accumulating before erupting in one go. With Gu Fei's current cultivation, his martial body was transparent inside and out. With a thought, the true power could reach any part of his body in an instant. His control over the martial body had reached a level where everything was as he wished. After a few hours, Gu Fei woke up from his cultivation. Phew! He let out a long breath and stood up from the ground. At this time, it was already dark outside the cave. It was already night time. There was no day or night for cultivation. Gu Fei was already used to this kind of life. He walked out of the cave and looked at the sky. There was not a speck of dust in the sky. The crescent moon was hanging in the sky. Under the hazy moonlight, the forest was extremely quiet. During this half a month, Gu Fei and the 4 immortal realm experts in the land of the sleeping dragon kept fighting. The terrifying waves from the land of the sleeping dragon scared away all living things within a radius of thousands of miles. The land of the sleeping dragon was not far from the cave that Gu Fei was in. He looked in the direction of the land of the sleeping dragon, then took a step forward and disappeared from where he was. The next moment, when Gu Fei reappeared, he was in the sky above the entrance of the land of the sleeping dragon. "You're here again." With Gu Fei's reappearance, a wave of divine will came from the land of the sleeping dragon. Then, a figure appeared in the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon. "You don't know what's good for you. If the boss was serious, you would have been killed." Another divine will appeared, and a figure shrouded in divine fire appeared in the land of the sleeping dragon. A scorching wave of energy came. Burning corpse. When Gu Fei saw the figure, his pupils shrank. This was a difficult opponent, and it was ferocious. He had been injured by this burning corpse several times. "The boss is just playing with this little guy." A dragon shadow appeared, and an extremely strong aura of death immediately spread in all directions from the area in front of them. That was the corpse dragon formed after the 9 true dragons fell. Among the 4 immortal realm experts, this corpse dragon had the strongest aura of death. Gu Fei noticed that the strongest golden corpse ape did not appear. "Gu Fei, I think you should leave. The boss is in a bad mood today." The Zombie King transmitted his voice to Gu Fei. Oh. When Gu Fei heard that, he could not help but wonder why the golden corpse ape was in a bad mood. Could it be because of the existence in the land of the sleeping dragon? There was another powerful existence behind the four immortal realm experts. This existence was imprisoned in the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon and could not escape. This time, my cultivation has increased again. How can I leave? Gu Fei did not leave. Instead, he looked at the three powerful immortal realm experts in front of him. A shocking battle intent suddenly erupted from his body. His black hair immediately moved without any wind, and his eyes were as bright as stars. You are treating us as whetstones. The burning corpse and the dragon corpse could not help but be shocked and angry. Only the zombie king remained calm. In the past half a month, the zombie king had long seen through Gu Fei's intention. This human wanted to use them to break through the shackles of cultivation. Among the four immortal realm experts, the burning corpse and the dragon corpse had the weakest cultivation and battle strength, while the golden corpse ape and the zombie king had the highest strength and intelligence. The burning corpse and the dragon corpse finally realized Gu Fei's intention. Damn it, I will kill you! The burning corpse roared and fiercely pounced at Gu Fei. A monstrous fire immediately erupted from the burning corpse's body, instantly enveloping the entire world. Under the shroud of the divine fire, the world and the void were silently annihilated. As long as it was burned by this divine fire, even godly iron would be instantly turned into green smoke. Good timing. Gu Fei let out a long roar and directly rushed forward. Bang! With just a punch, Gu Fei dispersed the mighty divine fire that filled the sky. His fist was indestructible and directly hit the burning corpse in the sea of fire. The zombie king and the dragon corpse could not help but be shocked when they saw how fierce Gu Fei was. This guy's cultivation seemed to have improved a little, just as he said. Boom! Gu Fei's fist collided with the burning corpse's fist. This time, the burning corpse did not gain any advantage. The two great experts were shaken away by each other's strength. The burning corpse could not believe it. How long had it been? How did this guy become so powerful? Shocked and furious, the burning corpse had to display his real killer move. Chapter 1923. The fact that Gu Fei had displayed his powerful combat strength and managed to injure the burning corpse greatly shocked the zombie king and the dragon corpse. Half a month ago, the burning corpse was able to injure Gu Fei. Only half a month had passed and the situation had reversed. Gu Fei had actually injured the burning corpse. How is this possible? The dragon corpse was in disbelief. Although the burning corpse was the fourth of the four undying experts, its combat power was stronger than all the zombies in the land of the trapped dragon. Apart from the golden essence corpse ape and the zombie king, it would take a lot of effort to defeat the burning corpse. Roar! The burning corpse roared angrily. Countless fire essences converged from all directions. The lower half of his body that was shattered by Gu Fei immediately reformed. In just an instant, it was restored to its original state. Gu Fei knew that it would be difficult to kill the burning corpse given his cultivation. Very well, you have angered me. The burning corpse was truly enraged. The divine fire burned 3 kilometers and countless Tao patterns rushed out from the burning corpse's body. Those were the Tao patterns condensed by the fire essences. Boom! With a muffled sound, the void that was enveloped by the fire Tao patterns suddenly collapsed and turned into a world of fire. This was the fire divine territory that the burning corpse had cultivated. Gu Fei only felt that the world was spinning, and he had entered a void that was filled with flames. He could no longer sense the aura of the outside world. Domain. When Gu Fei realized where he had entered, he couldn't help but frown. This burning corpse was really impressive. He could actually open up his own domain. If he went one step further, this burning corpse might be able to open up his own inner world. However, it was not an easy task to open up an inner world. Even if the burning corpse had the combat strength of a sage-to-be, it would still be difficult for him to do so. Haha, kid, are you afraid now? A loud voice resounded in this fire void. An incomparably huge figure appeared in front of Gu Fei and laughed arrogantly. Scared, haha. Gu Fei couldn't help but laugh. He had never been afraid even when facing the golden essence corpse ape, so why would he be afraid of this burning corpse? You! Gu Fei's disdainful tone completely angered the burning corpse. Go to hell! The burning corpse was enraged. Its huge palms slammed down towards Gu Fei below. A terrifying fire elemental power spread out from that huge palm, shaking the entire void. Bang! Gu Fei did not hesitate. His long hair danced behind him as he punched upwards with his right fist. An invincible fist intent spread out from his body. 9 chaotic runes appeared on his fist. Although the runes were blurry, the sacred aura they exuded was definitely real. What? 9 Dao patterns? The burning corpse was shocked. His opponent had already condensed 9 Dao patterns, which made him feel a great threat. 9 Dao patterns, that was the foundation to achieve Dao. This was a phenomenon that would only occur when the great Dao changed from complexity to simplicity. In ancient times, those who could condense 9 Dao patterns would not stop at the quasi-sage realm. Such existences would eventually leap over the dragon gate and become sages. Boom! With a loud bang, the burning corpse's mountain-like huge hand that was surrounded by raging flames was smashed by Gu Fei's punch. Gu Fei's punch contained the power of 9 Dao patterns. The power of this punch did not dissipate after smashing the burning corpse's huge hand. Instead, it directly penetrated the void of this area, causing the burning corpse to suffer a great impact. The fire elemental body that it condensed almost collapsed. Gu Fei did not kill it. Otherwise, the burning corpse would not only be injured but not killed. Rumble. Just as Gu Fei defeated the burning corpse, an extremely powerful force suddenly surged out from the depths of the land of the sleeping dragon. A golden figure walked out. Boss, you have to avenge me. Seeing the golden figure, the burning corpse hurriedly rushed over. Humph, I'm not in a good mood today. You're unlucky. The golden essence corpse ape did not even look at the burning corpse. Its pair of golden eyes were only looking at Gu Fei. Bring it on. Seeing that the golden essence corpse ape had finally come out, Gu Fei's expression became solemn. The burning corpse could not be compared to this golden essence corpse ape. The golden essence corpse ape inherited the supreme bloodline of the golden spiritual ape. Such a bloodline would not lose its divinity because of the fall of the golden spiritual ape. The body of this golden essence corpse ape still had the supreme bloodline of the golden spiritual ape. All right. The golden essence corpse ape's golden eyes immediately shot out 2 rays of golden light that were several meters long. A violent and powerful aura surged from its body towards Elder Kai. At this time, Gu Fei only felt his body tighten, as if he was bound by something invisible. This? Gu Fei was startled. He knew that the golden essence corpse ape had locked onto his aura. This made him feel a great pressure. The golden essence corpse ape could attack at any time. In just a dozen days, you've actually improved again. Not bad. When the golden essence corpse ape sensed the aura on Gu Fei's body, its golden eyes could not help but reveal a trace of surprise. Of course, it knew what cultivation Gu Fei had. At this cultivation level, it was extremely difficult to take a small step forward. However, this person actually improved in such a short period of time. This kind of cultivation speed was really a little scary. The golden essence corpse ape was as short as a child, but no one dared to look down on it. It took a step forward and directly punched at Gu Fei. The golden fist energy was like a golden ocean, rushing out from its fist and surging towards Gu Fei. The powerful force caused the heaven and earth to collapse. So powerful! Feeling the power of the golden essence corpse ape's fist, Gu Fei could not help but change his expression. On the golden fist of the golden essence corpse ape, there were also indistinct Dao runes appearing. Facing the golden corpse ape's punch, Gu Fei took a deep breath. His muscles and bones immediately let out a series of explosive sounds as his muscles and bones rumbled like thunder. His right sleeve immediately exploded. His tendons were vibrating, his muscles were trembling, and a powerful force was released. Streaks of primal chi curled up on his arm like lightning. Roar! Gu Fei roared. His long hair crazily danced in the wind. He raised his right arm and exerted all his strength to punch out. This punch was a complete fusion of martial path true force and the power of his tendons and tendons. This punch contained the result of Gu Fei's half a month of hard work. Boom! Chapter 1924. A Battle of the Peak. Gu Fei and the Golden Ape went all out right from the start. Boom! After a loud rumble, the entire world was shaking. Dark cracks in the space, with the two fists as the center, extended outwards like black lightning. Each crack was at least a dozen miles long. Terrifying waves spread in all directions. If it were not for the fact that the land of the trapped dragon was protected by some sort of power, that attack would have turned the place into dust. Roar! Countless roars came from under the ground. All the ancient corpses buried here seemed to be affected as they let out blood-curdling roars. What's going on? In a mountain range a few hundred miles away from the land of the sleeping dragon, a group of people who were heading towards the land of the sleeping dragon stopped. The violent tremors from the ground shocked them. Whoosh! Someone soared into the sky and arrived high in the sky. However, just as that person was about to soar up into the sky, he let out a tragic cry and fell down from the sky. An extremely powerful pressure came crashing down, causing one's heart to tremble. The blood in one's body was rumbling, making it hard for one to gather any strength. Bang! That person fell from the sky, creating a huge pit on the ground. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Then, they hurriedly ran over and rescued that person from the huge pit. What? When everyone saw the miserable state of this person, they could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. This was a void-controlling realm cultivator who could fly in the air, yet he actually fell to such a state. One of his arms was severely deformed and his leg was broken. Even the bones were exposed. His clothes were dyed red with blood. He was originally a good person, but in an instant, he became like this. Everyone wanted to laugh, but no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't laugh. Could it be that old man who lied to us? Someone said. That old man wouldn't dare to lie to us. We used his precious granddaughter to threaten him. A man dressed in luxurious clothes who looked like a young master said such words. Young Master Wu Tian is right. That old man wouldn't dare to lie to us. A young cultivator agreed. But now... Someone hesitated. The vibration just now was powerful enough to make people feel hopeless. Plus, that direction was where the treasure ground was located. Could it be that someone else has set their eyes on that treasure ground? Young Lord Wutian looked in the direction of the ripples, and his eyes became deep. By then, Gu Fei and the golden fine corpse ape had separated. The two of them faced each other in the sky above the land of the trapped dragon. Their auras continued to grow. The powerful force caused the void around them to tremble, and pitch-black spatial cracks constantly appeared around them. Too powerful! At that moment, the zombie king and the dragon corpse had already fled far away. The burning corpse had already hidden deep within the land of the trapped dragon, not daring to come out. Your progress amazes me, the golden essence corpse ape said. Golden light shot out from its golden eyes. It seemed as if its entire body was made of pure gold. Golden lights coiled around the golden essence corpse ape's body like golden lightning. This was really hard to imagine. Was this metal essence corpse ape really an ancient corpse that gained intelligence and came back to life? It didn't seem like it. He could clearly feel that the metal essence corpse ape's chi and blood were extremely vigorous. It didn't seem like a dead creature at all. You amaze me even more. You don't look like someone who has died before, Gu Fei said. From the body of the golden essence corpse ape, he saw Yuan Hong's figure. In the heavenly realm, he and Yuan Hong were sworn brothers of life and death. Talk is useless. If you don't die in my hands today, your cultivation will go to the next level. The metal essence corpse ape looked at Gu Fei and said, Come on then. Gu Fei's aura had been raised to its peak. At that moment, his spirit, chi and spirit were highly concentrated. His chi and blood were boiling, and beams of chaotic divine light suddenly appeared. All right. The next moment, the metal essence corpse ape suddenly disappeared into the void. At that moment, Gu Fei felt his hair stand on end. This was a natural reaction of the martial body to danger. This reaction was even beyond Gu Fei's consciousness. Whoosh! Gu Fei directly soared into the sky. At that moment, a golden fist punched out from the void without any warning, turning the place where Gu Fei was into chaos. The barrier between heaven and earth was as fragile as a thin piece of paper. The metal essence corpse ape's movement was extremely fast. Just as Gu Fei soared into the sky and dodged that punch, Gu Fei immediately felt his right leg tighten. His calf was already caught by the metal essence corpse ape. Roar! The metal essence corpse ape roared and directly swung Gu Fei around, then fiercely smashed him into the ground. Boom! The earth trembled and dust flew everywhere. A huge crater was formed on the hard ground. Whoosh! In the sky, the golden essence corpse ape's right hand emitted a ball of golden divine light. This ball of divine light emitted a terrifying energy wave. Then, without any hesitation, he threw this ball of divine light towards the big hole in the ground. Boom! The ground exploded. The golden divine light enveloped a radius of 100 feet. Within 100 feet, everything was destroyed. Nothing was left. The metal essence corpse ape controlled this force very well. Otherwise, this area would have been destroyed. Bang! At this moment, the ground in the distance exploded. A silhouette soared into the sky. Very good. If it ended so quickly, then it wouldn't be fun anymore. Chapter 1925. How is this possible? Feeling the sharp pain from his right arm, Gu Fei couldn't believe it. One must know that his martial body was already strong enough to resist a quasi-saint divine weapon. Perhaps even a true saint weapon would not be able to hurt him if it hadn't awakened. But now, the golden essence corpse ape had broken his arm. Moreover, what made Gu Fei truly shocked was that he didn't know how the golden essence corpse ape had broken his arm. This was a battle skill that he had never seen before. It was hard to imagine that apart from the martial path created by the martial ancestor, there was also such a terrifying battle skill. Kacha! 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 An irresistible shockwave was transmitted from the golden essence corpse ape's sharp claws. The bones of Gu Fei's entire arm, starting from his forearm, were constantly cracking. Although his bones had been tempered thousands of times, it was still difficult to resist this powerful shockwave. In just a moment, the shockwave had already reached his shoulder. If this continued, all the bones in his body would be broken within a few breaths. Roar! Gu Fei roared and struggled with all his might. Puff! His entire arm was cut off from his shoulder, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The blood that splattered out came from Gu Fei's broken right arm. However, not a single drop of blood came out from the wound on his shoulder. Gu Fei's martial body had already been cultivated to the point where it could automatically bind his qi and blood. His blood essence wouldn't casually flow out unless his martial body collapsed. One must know that for a cultivator, their blood essence was incomparably precious. Damn it! The flesh and blood on Gu Fei's shoulder quickly grew back. His bones were reforming. In just a moment, his right arm had completely regrown. At this time, Gu Fei discovered that his broken arm was quickly shrinking in the golden essence corpse ape's hand. The blood essence of his arm was quickly being devoured by the golden essence corpse ape. Preposterous! Seeing the golden essence corpse ape devouring the essence of his severed arm, Gu Fei was both startled and angry. This golden essence corpse ape was too powerful. What should he do? If this is all you've got, then I can only beat you to death. The metal essence corpse ape threw away the severed arm that had lost all of its essence, and spoke indifferently. 5 times the power of ascension. Gu Fei had no choice but to use the Heaven Ascension secret technique. An extremely powerful wave burst out from his body. The space around him could not withstand this power, and was rapidly destroyed. Yes. When the golden essence corpse ape sensed the changes in Gu Fei's body, he couldn't help but become serious. Gu Fei's battle prowess was soaring, and this was not a good thing for him. Roar! Gu Fei roared at the sky. The clothes on his upper body were torn to shreds by the power that erupted from his body. The shreds danced in the air. At the same time, he attacked. Bang! Gu Fei struck out with the primal chaos fist. This was a great technique that he had created after countless deductions. With one punch, the space in front of his fist would turn back into primal chaos. It's starting to look like it. The Golden Essence Corpse Ape directly clawed at Gu Fei's fist, wanting to use the same secret technique to injure Gu Fei again. But this time, the technique of the Golden Essence Corpse Ape didn't work. As a cultivator, it would be very difficult for Gu Fei to fall for the same trick again. Bang! Gu Fei's fist was once again caught by the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's claw. Without any hesitation, Gu Fei used the chaotic secret technique, one of the 9 secrets of Immortal Tao. The fluctuation that came from the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's claw was completely reversed by Gu Fei. Gotcha! A bone-cracking sound came from the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's arm. This time, Gu Fei's arm didn't break, it was the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's arm that was broken. You! The Golden Essence Corpse Ape was extremely shocked. It had never thought that there would be someone in this world that could reverse its martial technique. The fluctuation rushed towards its heart. While the Metal Essence Corpse Ape was still in shock, Gu Fei had already appeared above its head. Gu Fei then stomped down on the ape's head, and a terrifying power came crashing down from his right foot. This was the 8 kill steps that Gu Fei had cultivated. 8 kill steps, 8 kill steps. As soon as his foot landed, the void under his feet collapsed. The destructive power instantly enveloped the Golden Essence Corpse Ape. Bang! The Metal Essence Corpse Ape only had enough time to raise its left arm. Gu Fei's foot directly stepped on the Metal Essence Corpse Ape's left arm. Gotcha! The Metal Essence Corpse Ape's left arm was broken. A golden figure fell from the sky. Boom! Dust rose high into the sky. Gu Fei was paying the Golden Essence Corpse Ape back. Previously, the Golden Essence Corpse Ape had smashed him down from the sky. Now, the tables had turned and it was the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's turn to be trampled down from the sky by Gu Fei. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the Zombie King and the Dragon Corpse Ape were extremely shocked. One should know that the Golden Essence Corpse Ape was the strongest existence apart from its master. This person called Gu Fei actually knocked Boss Jean down from the sky. It was truly unbelievable. Very good. The Golden Essence Corpse Ape stood up from the crater on the ground. It raised its head and looked at Gu Fei with its golden eyes. Its battle intent grew even stronger. Swish! The Golden Essence Corpse Ape soared into the sky and directly rushed towards Gu Fei. Chaotic Universe! Gu Fei shouted and performed one of the 9 secrets of Immortal Tao, the Chaotic Universe secret art. An unfathomable power reversed all of the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's attacks. Bang! 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 The Golden Essence Corpse Ape was incomparably depressed. All of its attacks were reversed, and its body was hit by several of its own attacks. This made the Golden Essence Corpse Ape both shocked and angry. The power of 5 times Ascension was extremely powerful. The current Gu Fei could already compete with the Golden Essence Corpse Ape. However, it was still unknown who would win. Very soon, the Golden Essence Corpse Ape changed its fighting style. It no longer released its power, but completely restrained it inside its body. Then, it used its own power to resist the Ascension secret art. Because its own power was no longer released from its body, Gu Fei would have a hard time reversing the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's power even if he wanted to. This was a real close combat battle. Gu Fei and the Golden Essence Corpse Ape were fighting fiercely. Gu Fei's chaotic fist and the Golden Essence Corpse Ape's golden fist kept colliding. It was like 2 pieces of immortal divine iron colliding, producing a metallic sound. Chapter 1926. Bang! Gotcha! The sounds of bodies colliding and bones breaking rang out continuously. High up in the sky, the 2 great experts were fighting, engaging in a brutal close combat battle. The Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's power made Gu Fei have a new understanding of it. The Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's combat skills were not inferior to martial arts combat skills. This was the Golden Spirit Ape's innate combat skill. As long as the Golden Spirit Ape's supreme bloodline did not dry up, this inheritance would not be severed. Obviously, this Golden Spirit Corpse Ape was not ordinary. It had reactivated the supreme bloodline in its body. Boom! Gu Fei's fist landed on the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's shoulder. The Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's shoulder exploded and golden blood splashed everywhere. At the same time, the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's sharp claw pierced into Gu Fei's chest. It then exerted its strength and tore off a piece of flesh from Gu Fei's body. Roar! The two experts roared at the same time and flew backwards. The piece of flesh from the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's sharp claw overflowed with chi and entered the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's body. This kind of extremely pure chi and blood was exactly what it needed. Soon, the piece of flesh on Gu Fei's body that was torn off by the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape turned into ashes in the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's sharp claw. This battle was a lose-lose situation. Gu Fei's body was filled with vast and mighty primal chi. His wounds were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. His muscles, bones, and flesh were recovering at a rapid speed. At his cultivation level, injuries on his martial body could no longer seriously injure him. One must know that his martial body had become so powerful that he could be reborn from a drop of blood. The present situation was very unfavorable for Gu Fei. The Golden Spirit Corpse Ape could devour Gu Fei's chi, but Gu Fei could not devour the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's chi. The Golden Spirit Corpse Ape's power was replenished, but Gu Fei's power was constantly being consumed. The gap between them was gradually widening. Moreover, what made Gu Fei uneasy was that the Golden Spirit Corpse Ape seemed to have not used its full strength. That's all for today. I'll come again next time. Gu Fei wanted to retreat. He had benefited a lot from this battle. The battle skills of the Golden Spirit Ape were worth comprehending. Humph, you can come and go as you please. How can there be such a good thing in the world? The Golden Essence Corpse Ape was not in a good mood today. It did not intend to let Gu Fei go just like that. Its pair of golden eyes were emitting a resplendent golden light. You and I don't have to fight to the death, Gu Fei said calmly. When the Golden Essence Corpse Ape heard this, it couldn't help but be startled. Gu Fei's performance was too calm. Could it be that this human was actually holding back like it was? The Golden Essence Corpse Ape was bewildered. Just then, Gu Fei used his maximum speed of 8 steps. With a single step, he left the trapped dragon's ground and appeared 1,000 miles away. The Golden Essence Corpse Ape stood high up in the sky. God knows how many times his bones were broken by Gu Fei in the battle just now. At this moment, his body was recovering rapidly. The wound on his shoulder was also healing. Boss, why didn't you kill that brat? The dragon corpse flew over. Humph. The Golden Essence Corpse Ape didn't even bother to look at the dragon corpse. Instead, it swung its palm over, sending the huge dragon corpse flying thousands of feet away. Seeing this, the zombie king did not dare to move forward. Those guys are done. In a valley 1,000 miles away from the trapped dragon's ground, the group led by young Master Wutian finally heaved a sigh of relief. The overwhelming pressure was finally gone. Young Master, should we head back first? A cultivator in green looked at young Master Wutian and asked carefully. What did you say? Hearing this, young Master Wutian's eyebrows immediately rose. It was not easy to get here, find the right place, and leave just like that. Young Master, those two existences are sect master level powerhouses. People like them can kill us all with a single finger. A white-faced woman in black with a charming look on her face said. Her appearance was naturally top-notch, and she was also the woman that young Master Wutian wanted to woo. Sister Black Lotus, are you afraid too? Young Master Wutian could ignore the cultivator in green, but he had to listen to the woman in black, because the power behind her was not weaker than the Wutian sect. The Wutian sect was a mid-level sect on the Buzhou ancestral star. Its leader was a half-step sage, and young Master Wutian was the only son of the Wutian sect. Relying on the power of the Wutian sect, young Master Wutian ran amok in the Wutian sect's territory. Who knew how many young and beautiful female cultivators he had harmed? It's not that I'm afraid, but I don't want to take the risk, the Black Lotus Fairy said. Even if Sacred Master Black Lotus came personally, he would not dare to provoke a sect master level expert. The consequences would be unimaginable if he were to offend the other party. I'm just going to take a look, young Master Wutian said. He was not willing to leave just like that. Do as you wish, I'm leaving. The Black Lotus Fairy turned around and walked out of the valley. The people following her hurriedly followed, causing young Master Wutian's face to darken. This Black Lotus Fairy really did not give him any face. The two of them had similar powers, so the Black Lotus Fairy could indeed ignore young Master Wutian. Moreover, his reputation was not that good either. Young Master, look! The cultivator in green said carefully as he looked at young Master Wutian's expression. Humph, I really want to see just who exactly is fighting. Young Master Wutian was used to being arrogant. This kind of character that had been developed over time could not be changed in a short period of time. Even after leaving the Wutian sect's territory, he was still the same, doing whatever he wanted. Young Master, this. The expressions of young Master Wutian's other followers changed. That powerful pressure was too frightening. Even the Wutian sect master was not that frightening. What? You even dare to disobey my words? Young Master Wutian raised his brows again. We don't dare, we don't dare. The three cultivators following young Master Wutian hurriedly said. The three of them were originally independent cultivators. It was only because they followed young Master Wutian that they were able to join the Wutian sect. There were many benefits to joining the Wutian sect, especially when they followed young Master Wutian. They often used young Master Wutian's name to plunder the Wutian sect's territory, committing all sorts of crimes. Let's go. Chapter 1927. What a powerful divine ape! The strength of the golden corpse ape shocked Gu Fei. If he hadn't used the quintuple power of ascension, he really wouldn't have been its match. However, the secret technique had a time limit, and couldn't be maintained forever. Once the time was up, Gu Fei had no choice but to retreat. The golden corpse ape lineage was truly worthy of being called a supreme bloodline. Inside the cave, Gu Fei was covered in blood. From the outside, his injuries were severe, to the point of death. However, only Gu Fei knew that his injuries weren't that serious. However, he had just exited the state of ascension, so his essence, energy, and spirit were extremely weak, causing him to look extremely exhausted. Just as Gu Fei was about to use his Xian Qi to heal his wounds, he suddenly felt something. Two bright eyes lit up in the dark cave. He sensed that there were a few people walking towards the cave he was in from afar. Sir, there's the smell of blood nearby. A cyan-robed cultivator suddenly halted his steps. Next, he used his nose to carefully sniff the air. There was an incomparably grim expression on his face. The smell of blood. Young Master Wutian couldn't help but be shocked. Could it be that the two sect leaders had fought and both sides were injured? Thinking of this, young Master Wutian's eyes lit up. If it was really as he guessed, then he had gotten a great bargain. Sect leader level existences definitely had many treasures. If that person was heavily injured and on the verge of death, then he would send him on his way and take all the treasures. If that person was only injured and hadn't completely lost his ability to fight, then he would save him. No matter how he thought about it, it seemed to be to his advantage. Let's go take a look. After thinking for a while, young Master Wutian's eyes lit up even more. What? The three green-robed cultivators were shocked. This guy really didn't know what was good for him. No one knew the temperament of sect leader-level existences. If they rashly went up and angered them, then it would be terrible. Those sect leader-level existences didn't care if you were the only son of Wutian's sect leader. If they killed you, then so be it. Hurry up and lead the way. Young Master Wutian's gaze towards the green-robed cultivator turned sharp. Yes. The azure-robed cultivator was helpless. He could only sniff the air and walk forward. This green-robed cultivator had a divine nose. As long as there was a smell of blood in the air, he would be able to smell it even from tens of miles away. It was because of this cultivator's thousandly fragrance-seeking technique that he was valued by young Lord Wutian. There's a cave over there. Very soon, young Master Wutian was led to a cave by the god-nosed cultivator. The cave was pitch black, and there were no sounds coming from within. The source of the blood smell is in the cave, the god-nosed cultivator said to young Lord Wutian. It's in the cave. Young Lord Wutian's expression changed. He was somewhat apprehensive. Go in and take a look. Young Master Wutian grabbed a green-robed cultivator beside him and pushed him towards the cave. He was not willing to take the risk himself. The green-robed cultivator's expression changed drastically. At this moment, he had already cursed 18 generations of young Lord Wutian's ancestors in his heart. However, he did not dare to voice his anger. The cyan-clothed cultivator could only cautiously make his way towards the cave. When he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he saw a person sitting cross-legged inside. Although the cave was pitch black, once one's cultivation reached a certain level, they would be able to see their surroundings even in absolute darkness. Young Lord Wutian and the other two cultivators stared nervously at the cave entrance. Young Lord, there's someone inside. The green-robed cultivator transmitted to young Lord Wutian. Dead or alive? Young Lord Wutian transmitted back. He was concerned about the condition of the person inside the cave. If the person inside was dead, then he would be in luck. His breathing is weak. He seems to have suffered a serious injury. The cultivator transmitted back. Haha. Young Lord Wutian wanted to laugh, but he quickly suppressed it. He had to be careful. He then turned to the two cultivators beside him and said, You two go in and carry the person out. Yes, young lord. The god-nosed cultivator and the other cultivator hurried forward and entered the cave with the first cultivator. Soon, the three cultivators carried out a person covered in blood and tattered clothes. They realized that this person didn't seem to have any wounds on his body, and part of the blood on his clothes was golden. Golden blood. Young Lord Wutian couldn't help but be shocked. Could it be that this person's opponent was a Buddhist Vedanta? On the Bujo ancestral star, only those Buddhist Vedanta who had cultivated the Buddhist golden body would have golden blood. Apart from them, no one had ever heard of such a creature having golden blood. Junior greets senior. Young Lord Wutian bowed respectfully to the person covered in blood. He didn't know the other party's strength, so he naturally didn't dare to be negligent. The person covered in blood didn't react at all. Senior. Young Lord Wutian tried to call out, but the person remained sitting on the ground without moving. Could it be that this person really suffered a fatal injury? Experts at the sect master level could recover from physical injuries, but fatal injuries wouldn't necessarily appear on the body. In other words, although there weren't any visible wounds on this person's body, his soul might have been heavily injured. Senior. Young Lord Wutian called out a few times, but the person didn't respond. He glanced at the three green-robed cultivators standing next to the person. The three azure-robed cultivators immediately searched the man's body. Soon, the three green-robed cultivators stopped and shook their heads at Lord Wutian. What? Not a single treasure? Young Lord Wutian was dumbfounded. How could a sect master not have a single treasure on him? This person should have a universe pouch. Young Lord, what do we do? The god-nosed cultivator asked young Lord Wutian. Humph, a pauper who's about to die. Who cares about him? Let's go. Young Lord Wutian was very disappointed. Sect masters were like moving treasure vaults, but this person didn't have a single treasure on him. How infuriating. Chapter 1928. Gu Fei couldn't help feeling a little angry after being groped all over his body. These fellows were really stepping on his head. They actually dared to stretch their hands over his body. Sir, he. The god-nosed cultivator jumped in fright when he saw the bloody man they had carried out of the cave open his eyes. What about him? He's just a dying man. What are you afraid of? Young noble Wu Tian stopped and started to teach the God-nosed cultivator a lesson. However, when he saw Gu Fei's sparkling eyes, he jumped in fright. You! Wu Tian knew that he was going to be in trouble this time. Humph! Gu Fei sneered and stood up from the ground. At this time, Wu Tian suddenly grabbed the two green-robed cultivators and threw them at Gu Fei. Swoosh! At the same time, he unfurled the scroll. The scroll turned into a ball of divine light that wrapped around him and tore through the void in an attempt to escape. Trying to escape? Gu Fei stretched out his hand and directly grabbed forward, completely ignoring the two green-robed cultivators who were charging at him. The mighty force from his hand instantly sent the two green-robed cultivators flying. Rumble! A giant hand of primordial chaos slammed down, knocking out the ball of divine light that was about to escape into the void. Then, Gu Fei's other body reached into the ball of divine light, grabbed young Master Wu Tian by the neck, and lifted him up. Don't kill me! Do you know who my father is? If you kill me, you won't live either! Wu Tian forced himself to remain calm, but he knew that if the other party was really a sect leader, he wouldn't give his father any face. Is your father very strong? Gu Fei was curious. He could tell with one look that this guy was full of evil tricks. This kind of young master must have a powerful faction supporting him. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to do as he pleased. Humph, my father is the sect leader of the Wutian sect. If you know what's good for you, let me go. When young Master Wutian spoke of his father, his face was filled with pride. At this time, the three green-robed cultivators were already scared out of their wits, especially the two cultivators who were sent flying by Gu Fei. Their bones were broken and they were lying on the ground, unable to stand up. Senior, please don't hurt my young master. Everything can be discussed. The God-nosed cultivator looked at young Master Wu Tian in Gu Fei's hands, then at Gu Fei, and spoke with a trembling voice. Skyless sect. Gu Fei ignored the God-nosed cultivator. He pondered for a while, then placed his hand on young Master Wu Tian's head and forcefully read his memories. Damn it! Gu Fei had only read a small portion of young Master Heavenless's memories, and his expression changed. He exerted force in his hand, and with a crack, he broke young Master Heavenless's neck. What? When the God-nosed cultivator saw this, he was so scared that he fell to the ground, dumbfounded. Young Master Wu Tian's Yuan spirit couldn't escape either. As soon as it broke out of his head, it was swallowed by Gu Fei and refined. This? The God-nosed cultivator collapsed to the ground, his body trembling. Young Master Wu Tian was dead, and it was the most thorough way to die. This person didn't even care about the Skyless sect and acted decisively. The God-nosed cultivator couldn't even think of resisting in front of such an existence. This person really deserves to die, Gu Fei muttered to himself. He had only read a small portion of young Master Wu Tian's memories, but it was enough to sentence him to death. This guy was arrogant and domineering, and had committed many evil deeds. In the Skyless sect's territory, he was practically lawless and often bullied others. Even many female disciples of the Skyless sect had succumbed to young Master Wu Tian's tyranny. The Heavenless sect master only had this one son. Normally, he was very protective of him, afraid that he would melt in his mouth, afraid that he would fall in his hands. Even if this young Master Heavenless did something that angered the heavens, he could not bear to scold him. This time, young Master Wu Tian had run into an iron plate. Gu Fei didn't care about the Skyless sect. Killing was killing. While Gu Fei was refining young Master Wu Tian's soul, a jade tablet in a pavilion in the ancestral court of the Wu Tian sect suddenly shattered. What? The disciples of the Heavenless sect who were guarding the pavilion were shocked when they saw the jade tablet shatter. They quickly rushed out of the pavilion and reported to the sect leader. What? My son's tablet shattered? Very quickly, an angry roar came from the Skyless Hall. The Skyless sect master was furious. Who dared to kill my son? I'll grind his bones to dust. Investigate! Investigate for me! I want to know who has the guts to kill my son! Under the headmaster's command, the entire Skyless sect was immediately mobilized. A large number of experts were sent out. The death of young Lord Skyless had shaken the Skyless sect. The headmaster was determined to avenge his only son at all costs. Very quickly, news of young Master Wutian's death spread. The Skyless sect was located in a city called Skyless City. With Skyless City as the center, the Skyless sect's territory spanned 100,000 miles. Aside from Skyless City, the Skyless sect controlled 10 other cities. These 10 cities surrounded Skyless City in the center. It seemed to be a super formation. The Skyless sect was only a mid-tier sect on the ancestral star, but its territory wasn't small. Of course, compared to the vastness of the ancestral star, 100,000 miles was nothing. It was like a sesame seed on a huge sphere. There were at least 7 or 8 sects like the Skyless sect in the southern region of the ancestral star, such as the Black Lotus sacred ground where the Black Lotus fairy was from. The Skyless sect's actions immediately attracted the attention of other factions. Gu Fei didn't know that killing young Master Wutian would cause a huge storm in the southern region of the ancestral star. However, even though he knew the consequences, he still wanted to kill young Master Wutian. After killing young Master Wutian, Gu Fei no longer paid attention to the 3 cultivators who followed young Master Wutian. He turned around and entered the cave, then sat down cross-legged. After a while, the god-nosed cultivator came back to his senses and hurriedly ran away.